to stay. The mountains echo with the roar. Each heartbeat's tune is asking for more. The mysteries whisper, come and see. Unlock the chains to set us free. The sky bends low, the rivers flow through valleys wide where courage grows. No fear can stand, no chance to fall. The future calls us, hear it all. Onward we run through the great unknown, chasing the stars, making them our home. Adventures rise with the break of day. A brand new world is here to stay. The mountains echo with the roar. Each heartbeat's tune is asking for more. The mysteries whisper, come and see. Unlock the chains to set us free. We run through the great unknown, chasing the stars, making them our home. Adventures rise with the break of day. A brand new world is here to stay.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Inner Sleuths live stream. We have the live Q&A going on in the background, as you guys can see right now. I'm going to unpause Tangia. We got to get into this quick because hopefully we start to get some answers soon. We have a bunch of questions. As I'll scroll up here, you can see all these questions flying by. I don't think we got any answers yet. Koloko just saying focus on V3, please, because verse 3 is what this focus is all about. But let's fireball through our intro here, so we can hopefully get some good answers from the devs. But guys, this is going to be a special edition PaxCast. We are going to be doing live coverage here of the devs responding to our questions about verse 3. I didn't even start my goal yet. I got to start the goal. Hold on 1 second. Let's get it going. This is earlier than I'm normally streaming. Let's do Pax Day. 3-hour timer on that one. All right, the goal is started. Sa, thank you for your 11-month membership message. Really appreciate you guys. If you want to join my channel and support my work, click that join button down below. You can become a member just like Sa here, just like Fadril, just like so many others. You see the credits go by before and after. Fadril with the first super chat. Unfortunately, I started the goal after. Sorry about that. I had a lot going on this morning. Fadril says, let's go Blood Brothers and into verse 3, New World Bound. We got Tom Seaton, Victor. Great to see you guys. Watson, great to see you. Jackson, Sa, Ya, Waylo, Fadril, Amber, Mojo, Maven. Great to see everybody today. Hope you guys are doing great. I hope you're looking forward to getting some answers. Here we have our first one right here. We didn't even get to do our intro, guys. Type the commands, the exclamation point join, or the exclamation point website to get a link over to our website, exclamation point Discord to get a link over to our Discord server, all those things. We're not going to go through all that this morning because we have too much to get into here. We're getting right into the meat and potatoes. Brian says I'm watching as well. Fizzy, how's it going? Welcome in, Brian. Let's see. So the first answer actually looks like it's from, how do you pronounce this? Arbaleister? Yes, they say, yes, I'm pleased to say that there are now more numerous forts and ruins across the world, especially in the home valley. I mean, this is literally going to be fireball, guys. I mean, right as soon as this opened, there was hundreds of questions just posted immediately. So these devs are going to have their work cut out for them this morning. If you guys have any questions that you want us to ask or you want to ask, make sure you guys are over there on their Discord as well. You can fire those off and hopefully we can get some answers to them. But it looks like we're going to have numerous forts and ruins across the world, especially in the home valleys. So you should have more direct access to action. We're still balancing respawn times, so they're working on, getting those dialed in. So they've certainly changed in the future. Osric says, item power scales all attributes in wearable and wieldable items, including damage on weapons. Item power also scales all weapon specials and spells. Item power comes from the item tier, 100 per tier, and quality, 100 per increase in quality, and 100 from combat skill that affects items. So I think he's saying the weight. The weight has 100 from the quality of the item, the tier of the item, and your skill with the item. So essentially, like, your skill will be 1/3, the quality will be 1/3, and the tier will be 1/3, if I'm reading that correct. Fadril, thank you for the official first, but really the second super chat of the day. Fadril says, let this one count. Ready for verse 3. Yeah, I think everyone's ready for verse 3. I'm going to do my best to keep up with your guys' chat over on YouTube. I am also streaming on Twitch as well right now, just to cast a wide net of people who can tune in here. I will not be able to see the chat messages from Twitch. So if you guys want to interact with it, make sure you come over to YouTube. Just for this stream alone, because there's going to be so much chat going on. I'm going to be doing my best to keep up with super chats. Other than that, I'm going to be reading all these messages over here that are going to be marked over here on the Q&A by the devs. They say this Q&A is about verse 3. We will not answer any questions about subscriptions or other non-V3 related topics. Thanks. Yep, they went over that already. They say recycling will come at some point, but not for V3. So we're not getting recycling, V3. I'm going to be reading so much today. Maven says, I'm hopeful for V3 date announcement on Friday. So it was actually kind of interesting. They said that they were going to give us a week notice, right? They said you guys are going to get a week notice of when V3 is going to come out. But then they said, actually, we're not able to do that, or we may not be able to do that. I found that really quite interesting. Hopefully they can give us a week, because they said that they would give us a week. I don't really know why they wouldn't be able to, but hopefully they're able to. So recycling at some point, hashtag soon TM, but not yet. There will be a full wipe before the subs go live, so squatting will be impossible, or will not be possible. So they're talking about the full wipe when they leave early access. V3 is not Unreal Engine 5.5 yet, but our own streaming setup has been improved. 5.6 is going to be even better in that regard. The server transitions have also been worked on, with even more work coming online after V3. So this is in regard to Unreal Engine, their Unreal Engine implementation. It sounds like they're not going to be on 5.5 yet, but they've been working on the back end for server transitions. Because, yeah, those are pretty harsh. When you cross those lines, it can rubber band you, it can crash your client, it can kick you from the server, all kinds of stuff. Like the server meshing, so to speak, that they have has not been really working that well. Spire says everything will go into raw resources, because they're talking about our armor and weapons reduced to their raw material. It sounds like everything is going down to its raw materials. So we're going to keep our skills. Let me unpause this background music here. I don't know why that was paused. There we go. We got some lo-fi going now. Everything is going to raw materials. So not just armor and weapons and stuff. Everything, every single thing is going. We're keeping our skills besides our weapon skills. All weapon skills are reset, but you're keeping all of your crafting skills. Ostrich here says, we got plans for the bow to be closer to a primary weapon type instead of a weapon meant for pulling. However, it's known that tank could better use tools for pulling, so there's something being thought for that. No change from the CD right now. So it sounds like bows are not getting any love right now, unfortunately. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to bows. By the way, let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I changed my audio setup just a little bit, but I think it's coming through okay. I can see the waves here. I think it's coming through all right. But unfortunately, guys, we're not going to be getting anything in terms of bows. We're not getting any love to the bows just yet. Maybe with the next patch, maybe with when we leave early access, who knows. But right now, bows are not going to be changing. Plastic, great to see you. He says we could hear you just fine. Sounds good. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I'm going to do my best to keep up with your chat and this chat. There's going to be a lot of chat going around. But if you want it read, make sure you put it in a super chat. We got 1 out of 10 towards a super chat goal already. Thank you for Drill for that. All right, let's see. Where are some more messages here? Crafting skills are not being reset for V3. We already know that. Koloko says no, just combat skills are being reset. I'm looking for the messages from staff, so then we can see, you know, I'm not going to read all of the questions. We're going to read the actual answers here. Brian, thank you for the super chat. Brian says, having so many questions shows there is still a lot of interest in the game. Hopefully V3 assuages fears of the game is dying. Hopefully. I don't know. I mean, this is a super important update, right? V3 is going to be pivotal in my opinion. I think that this is going to be, I don't want to say make or break because I feel like that's a little extreme, but I feel like V3 is very, very important. I mean, we're pushing the year mark of when people originally started backing this game. And I think that V3 is going to be extremely important to draw people's interest back to the game. I mean, if you think about it, right now there's like 100 to 200 people on average still playing the game, you know, leading up to V3, but if there's not enough substantial content added in with this update, and it's just to bring us back to rebuild our cities and stuff, I think a lot of people will kind of be upset with that. And maybe I already know people who are like, I'll come back when it's full release and I'll check out if it's worth it then. So it is, Brian, it's going to be an interesting time with this next update coming out. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they really, really knock it out of the park and they deliver, because we've had a year of just like kind of meh updates until now. They're saying it should transfer, and someone asked, do we need to empty the actual redeeming queue or will it transfer smoothly? We just had that question over on the CBU Discord actually as well. And make sure you guys join the CBU Discord, type !Discord in chat. We have a bunch of conversations going on over there as well. Somebody asked, will the current redeeming queue transfer over? Right here, they say it should. So it's not really an answer. It's kind of a non-answer because they're saying it should, but that means that it might not. But also thank you, Brian, for the 2nd out of 10 super chats towards our super chat goal. Where's our next answer? Pure iron will remain pure. Anything you can harvest as a raw resource will remain as is, even if you refined the resource to the current state. We haven't decided yet. So this is in regards to, with a single shard per region in V3, will there be more restrictive weekly activity wipes? Oh, they're talking about plots, I think. They're talking about wiping the plots, I think. Or will you just be adding new shards as needed? This was one thing that we've gave them a lot of heat about, because they talked about, well, we're not going to have an RP server, but maybe we'll open one later. And I think that that's super jarring for the RP community. I think that everyone's just going to end up staying, even if they open up what? So we build our whole cities, our elaborate stories start going underway, and now we're supposed to all uproot and divide the community of role players even further, some moving, some staying because they're already established. And that would be a shit show, right? So they're saying we haven't decided if they're going to be opening new shards yet, but they have said before that if the time came to it, that they would open a new shard and it would be a roleplay shard. They said we'll continue to monitor the population. They're doing it because of population. They're doing it because of money. I mean, that's why they're doing it. Let's be honest. That's the reason why. But they say they haven't decided yet. Let's see here. They say depends very much on the Unreal version. For example, moving from world composition to world partition with 5.0 was huge changes and took quite some time to sort out. See, and I think that that's also like kind of what's making the development process take so long. Hey Crash, how's it going, man? Welcome in. Blimpy, great to see you. I think that because they're trying to keep up with these Unreal Engine versions, it's really being a hindrance to the development process. I mean, that's just my opinion. Anyone out there who knows more about Unreal Engine, let me know in the comments or in the chat there. But they're saying that they're trying to keep up with these Unreal versions to like have, you know, graphical fidelity and to take advantage of all the new features and stuff. But I feel like it's really slowing them down, because they say right here, even going to, right here they said 5.0 was huge change and took quite some time to sort out. So they're spending a ton of time trying to transition over to these. I almost think like maybe it would be better just to stay on one version. I mean, I know there's games who are made entirely on a specific version, and then they just stay in that version, and that game just exists, right? They don't need the latest and greatest features that come out with this stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like that could be slowing them down quite a bit. Blimpy says I want dual wield, one-handed bows. That'd be pretty cool. Samomo, thank you for the 3rd out of 10 towards our super chat goal. Sa says Vane shows the community clear plans and content being consistent, even with a tiny team. Yeah, they only have two people on the Vane team. I'm really excited for Vane, honestly. Like, they say it's just a passion project, which in my opinion, that's where the best games come from, but they only have 2 people, and they're just put out a video themselves about their update. Like, their communication is on point. Saza goes on to say, if needed, it is needed in PAX if they want people in high numbers. Yeah, I agree 100%. Thank you for that super chat, Sa. I really appreciate you. Let's see, where are some more answers? They're referring people to read the RPG blog. And if you guys have missed a couple previous episodes of PaxCast, make sure you go and check them out, because we do go over the new RPG system and the crafting changes and stuff like that. Here's a good answer. We're still working on improvements to the dungeons, so those changes will not be public in verse 3. We are, however, adding more camps in the overworld. And you may already find the foundations for content that's on the horizons when exploring the new world. So we may find little remnants of things in the world that have to do with some upcoming content, and they are working on dungeons. That's really great to know, because dungeons are one of my favorite part of the game. Dungeons are really the only way that we get to interact with deep combat. I mean, the overworld combat is those dudes are easy. You just spank those dudes down. They're not difficult at all, really, to be honest, those overworld camps. But it's the dungeons where you really get down into some more, hopefully, tactical gameplay. Oh, my chat, it jumped up here. Let me see where I was. Let me come back down. Pure iron will remain pure. We read that one. All the staves are under weaponsmithing skill tree. So the staves will be made by weaponsmiths, even though some of them are like wood and stuff. I guess they're still falling under weaponsmith. What are the different quality levels? So we talked about this. They talked about this in the RPG updates. We have common, uncommon, and rare, which we did compare some of the stats of these. And it was kind of interesting to see the different stat changes and the healing received and things like that. That's going to be coming from all of the new gear. Oh, it looks like one of the devs wasn't able to make it because someone asked a question for Vox Infirni, and one of the other devs said that he was not able to make, or they are not able to make this session, unfortunately. They might join later. All armor is getting removed, and you'll be refunded the raw resources. So yeah, a lot of stuff. Well, they said everything. They said everything's being broken down. Saw says, yeah, it's good they have plans for non-subscription players too. I do think that's a good idea, honestly, because some people just can't afford it. I'm all about making games accessible for everybody and letting them play the games the way that they want to play them. It's why, again, I'm such a big advocate for private servers, because I feel like having private servers is super, super important to allow people to play the games the way that they want to play them. So I am happy, Saw, as well, that they are going to have a non-sub model. Maven says, I think the non-sub model in their version is their version of a demo of the broader game, hopefully enticing them to sign up. I don't really know if that's the case or not, because their free model, they said, has access to everything in the game besides placing plots, but that's why they're putting the basic crafting stations and storage at the Petra Days now. They're placing all of those things at the Petra Days to allow those free players, and if they need more access, they can go on someone else's plot who is shared with them. So I think it's going to be a full, you pay the box price to get in, and then once you're in, you can choose to do a subscription if you want to have access to owning land. But I really, really hope that they give us subletting, that you can take your multitude of plots and then sublease them out, or portions of them, to people for a predetermined amount of in-game resource or currency or something like that. That'd be nice. Items that go away will be returned as raw resources. The only exception is the unique relics from named enemies will also be reset. So I'm assuming that that means they're going to be deleted. What else would that mean? The only exception is the unique relics for named enemies are being reset. That means they're being deleted, right? There's no other way to say that they're going away. Being reset means they're disappearing, I would assume. Let me know what you guys think about that, if you think that I'm correct on that. We haven't decided yet. Depends on how many shards and home valleys get populated, so they're answering the shard question again. FSR coming back for V3. Yeah, I really loved FSR, man. It gave me amazing performance, and I didn't have any crashes or bugs with it, but they said that it's not coming back right now. Some players are experiencing hard crashes with it. Well, they don't have to use it though, right? You could bring it back for the people like me who don't experience those hard crashes, and other people can just choose to not use it, right? I mean, that would be nice, because it like doubles my frames without losing any fidelity. It really gives me some great performance, but unfortunately it looks like that's not coming back. At least yet. With the server compaction, is there any chance you all could rename the shards or something to something completely new? That way, for us that are coming into new place, rather than feel like we're joining another shard. I actually like that. That may seem silly to some people. I actually like that. But they say this is not the plan right now for practical reasons. New shards will be open with new release though. I would like to see them rename all the shards, because I think that's actually a really, really good point. I don't think that's silly at all. We are going to feel like we are coming into their shard. We're going to feel like we're joining them and going into their house, as opposed to the other way around. And I think it should be a neutral playing ground. So it may seem silly to some people, but resetting the shard names to something completely unique, I think would be great in order to welcome in the role players who are coming from the RP shards that no longer exist. Coloco's talking about how something was in the announcement. Unique relics will just disappear, so you'll need to go and relic hunt for them. Okay, so they are resetting the relics. I was right. All of those relics are going to be reset, and we're going to have to go relic hunting again. I mean, I think that's probably a good thing, because it gives us a reason to go fight the bosses again. I'm hoping that we get actual bosses. They haven't shown us anything saying that we're going to get new bosses, but I think the bosses are just placeholders right now. They're kind of underwhelming, and I'm hoping that maybe with this V3, we can get some actual bosses to make relic hunting that much more fun. Actually put our mechanics and stuff to the test by fighting a boss who actually has mechanics or something like that, and it isn't just a slightly larger, harder version. World changes. Will we get the province maps with Petra days and gates and zones before the wipe? They say we hope, but no promises though. If that's the case, and we are going to get those maps with the gates and everything before the wipe, it would be very beneficial, because it'd help us to decide where we want to go. Right now we're thinking Bronnier, because Bronnier could be a really good spot with 4 home valleys, or that's in Carries, or Down, which is in Mary, which has 4 home valleys touching each other as well. So those are the 2 places up for Blood Brothers and our allies and the Fellowship of the Free Cities to decide where we want to go. It's either going to be one of those 2 unless we can find something better. So Bronnier or Down is what we're looking at, but hopefully we can get those maps. Let's see here. We got some more questions. I mean, there's probably, look at the scroll bar on the right. There's a ton of questions down below us, hopefully with a bunch of really good answers. Looking at the upcoming version, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, do you anticipate any need for another world wipe to upgrade to those? They say, I do not see any upcoming reason to wipe the world because of Unreal versions. We will be quite conservative about world changes after full release. So still sticking to their guns on this is the last wipe before the final wipe. Will consumables still have a hotbar spot? No changes on those, they say. Are there coming some creeks with the world changes that run down from the mountains? There are no creeks running down from hills in this update. In the updated world, we hope to have those someday in the future. So we're not going to get rivers or really like flowing water yet, it would appear. No waterfalls or anything like that. I think that'd be really great to have in the game, honestly. That would really bring it to life as opposed to having just the static water layer. Because right now we just have a static water layer. Water is at this height. Anything below that height is filled with water. So all they have to do is deform. They just have to deform the ground down in order to have it shown. Ange, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. I'm sorry that I'm not able to get to all of your guys' questions during this live stream because there's so much chat going on over on the Q&A that I'm trying to keep up with. But again, if you want something read, make sure you just put it into super chat. I'll absolutely read it. I am going to try and read as much as I can over there. I do my best to get to your guys' chat, as you know. Pete, great to see you. Blippy says, will the free cities welcome unaffiliated players in their home valley? I'm not sure if my guild has plans to play V3. Absolutely, yeah. People don't need to actually join the Fellowship of the Free Cities if they don't want to. The Fellowship of the Free Cities is more of a way to show those in our community who has been verified as acting in good faith. So these communities are lightly regulated by RP rules and engagements and shown to have good faith, and then they get promoted from within on the chartered free cities list on our Discord. So it shows people, hey, these are some awesome clans. Maybe you don't want to join Blood Brothers and you want to join one of our affiliated clans or allied clans. Here's a list of them. They are good people in and out of character, and they all have different play styles. So maybe you can find one that suits you. So everyone's welcome, just as always, to come and live in Bloodhaven. You don't have to be affiliated with us or any free city or anything like that. Everyone's welcome to come and live by us in good faith and have some fun and role play. It's just a way for us to show, hey, these people, you can count on them being good people because they're being lightly regulated by our RP rules and guidelines and stuff, like keeping in character and out of character stuff separated, because that can absolutely destroy communities when people can't separate those things. They'll think that someone's acting out of character when they're actually acting in character, and it creates a ton of drama, and that's what we want to avoid. We want to make sure that everyone understands that these people and these communities who are a part of this at least very basically understand the rules of roleplay, the guidelines of roleplay, right? And that's what that's about. So everyone's welcome to come and partake in it, but if you want your clan to be sponsored and put on the chartered free cities list and be promoted from within, and have your contact and representation on the free council, that's when you would want to actually sign up and become a part of that. And everyone's welcome to come and sign up for that. No matter how big or small your community is, you're welcome to come and join that. We have many clans that are already signing up to be a part of the Fellowship of the Free Cities, and several that are already in the process of signing up as well. So if you guys want your clan represented and pushed by us, come and join the Fellowship of the Free Cities and show that good faith, and you'll get right in. It'll be fun. Limpy says, my guild does not formally RP. We are respectful and mature players. And that's all it really takes. You just have to respect the roleplay rules. You don't have to, have a high level of roleplay. We have all kinds of role players. We have very light, people who just respect it and observe, and they're like flies on the wall. And we have people who are creating crazy stories and all kinds of fun stuff. So everything in between is always welcome. Cat Died, how's it going? Welcome into the stream, buddy. Great to see you. Okay, let's keep going with their answers over here. How does the skinning knife work? Are you sitting there and do an animation? They say pretty much you'll be next to the animal carcass to process it. So there's going to be an animation to process with the skinning knife? Well, pretty much they say. It's not really a full answer, but pretty much, he says. The staves will be in the weaponsmithing tree. Yep, they already talked about that up above. Just small little ponds, added locations, that makes sense. So they're adding ponds. They're not really doing any more streams or rivers. They're adding some more ponds and things like that to add some charming spots. Saw says, sounds like Red Dead skinning. I always meant to get into Red Dead, but I never actually did. Blimpy says, I am the respect and observe category. Shy about roleplay as I have not experienced, but I enjoy watching Blood Brothers activities. Absolutely, yeah. And then that's the fun thing too. Like maybe you just want to go to an event, but you don't want to interact really. You don't really have to. I mean, maybe someone will come up to you and like try to strike up a little thing, but you can just have your exit strategy ready to go, just be respectful and just say, yes, I'm just attending. And maybe you get your feet wet. Maybe you realize that you actually like roleplay a little more, but it's up to you. Yeah, you're always welcome by us. Sa says, I love Red Dead. It looks like a pretty cool game. Okay, we got a big answer here from Osric. How will stats and status effects work with the new gear? How do they stack? Are they soft/hard cap? What defines thread, hits, DPS, and heal? Osric says the stats and status effects question are a bit too open. I can answer threat though. Damage has a certain amount of threat that it does per damage point. Your character can have stats that increase the amount of how much threat each point of damage does. This is on heavy armor and shields. Spells also cause threat, different amounts per spell. Threat can also be added by weapon specials and spells in flat amounts. When this is the case, it is described in the spell/weapon special description. So the tooltips will tell you when it's going to do threat. It sounds like, if I'm interpreting this correctly, if I'm reading this right, based on each damage point that you do, so the more damage points you do, the more opportunity you have for threat, and then it will basically multiply or add your threat multiplier. So if your threat multiplier is 2, let's just say an example, every point of damage will do 2 threat per damage point. So the tank can theoretically do less damage, but still have the tank can theoretically do less damage, but still have more threat because of their threat modifier. So let's say they do half as much damage as you, but they have double your threat modifier. You'll be doing the same threat. If I'm reading that right, that would make sense. That'd be an easy, flat way to just have the math done in the background whenever something is hit. They will still have spells, as far as I know, that will actually cause threat. In V3, will there be more travel options released? Horses, carts? They say no, the travel features remain per the live game. We do have plans for more, but that's at a later date feature. That's later date feature. So no horse, guys, unfortunately. We're stuck with the fast travel. No horse and buggies. Leveling up your crafting skills can always be beneficial for later. You can always use grace to get a bonus. Also, you are not forced to level up all skills. You can specialize in 1 or 2 if you prefer. We want to provide content for both solo/dual players as well as groups. For now, the smaller caves and various smaller encampments are geared towards smaller social units, or solo play, they say, while all dungeons are recommended to be visited as a group. So they say as a group, so I'm assuming up to 6 players or 6 players on average, because that's what a group consists of. We'll be discussing more adventure opportunities for solo play since it seems to be a popular way to play and certainly won't rule out adding more of that in the future. So they're going to be looking into more avenues to have more solo play. They're really kind of leaning into the whole solo play thing, it would seem, which is interesting. I know people do solo play right now as it is, but it sounds like it's going to be even easier in the future, according to some of these answers we're getting here. We have done a lighting/rendering pass, and things should be nicer on that front. So they're talking about any changes to lighting, rendering, assets popping in, ray tracing, and things like that. Assets popping comes from streaming things in and out, and there will be some of that in V3 as well. If your hardware handles it, increasing the streaming distance, I haven't really noticed much difference. It's kind of like Star Citizen in that regard. It's like you turn the settings up and down and it doesn't really affect my performance. It's like there's a limitation there of some sort. But they're saying that increasing the streaming distance will allow you to see things further. There is no ray tracing in the image rendering in V3, so no ray tracing. I'm not sure if Lumen uses it under the hood for global lighting. So no ray tracing, and things will still be popping in and out. Somebody needs to ask if trees are still going to come through our plots. Ask if trees are going to come through our plots. So the person in charge of audio is not in the session currently, they're saying there. There's a few weapon skills that use old animations. Majority of them are completely new, however. So that's one of the interesting things here. It seems like a lot of the stuff got completely gutted and reworked. Because like a majority of the animations for weapons, completely reworked, they say. Completely reworked. Koloko slapping people saying not part of verse 3. Yeah, weather would be really nice. Well, that kind of is a question towards V3. They're asking if it's going to be in there, and I think he's answering no, it's not going to be. So no weather in V3. Only Carries and Mary will be swapped. Yeah, I don't really know why they did that. And based on our current understanding, we don't think a rework will be needed for these provinces. So they're saying, world question, with the swap of Carries and Mary's placement on the map, should we expect something similar with Ancient and Iniscalia? I don't really know why they're swapping the two provinces. If anyone has like an answer as to why you think they're swapping these provinces, please let me know in chat. I'm really curious about that. We could ask them. I don't know if they really have an answer for that. Maybe it's just they wanted to, but it would be good to know. Let me actually let's ask a question here. Let me think. I got to get a question piled in here. What is the reason behind swapping Carries and Mary on the map? So I'm going to throw that one up there. It'll be down at the bottom, really, really far down from where we are now, pretty much. So hopefully it gets answered and we'll get to it. Brian says they're swapping because they want open area before you get to the PvP gates. So basically a larger wildlands, but I'm not sure if that's actually the case though, because if you look at the map in the top right corner of Mary now is where Down and the other 3 provinces are, right up by those gates. So I think that with them swapping spots, that will be in the top right corner, exactly where Tremin was. So if anything, I think there might actually be less wildlands between the two. If you look at the current maps, because we looked at them and that's why we picked that spot, because it's going to be right next to the gates again. Sa says they're going to make homelands smaller, but then we already have issues with room and plot numbers, I swear. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be more of them though. So each province will support more plots because there's going to be more home valleys. The home valleys are remaining the same, so they're just going to be more dense. Carries has a larger wildlands at the south, so they want to keep the PvP gate to go south. Oh, I guess for them, yeah. But in terms of like where Mary is going to be right by the gate now as well. So it really just, it doesn't really make much sense if you think about it, because Carries is going in the top right corner. So yeah, there'll be more wildland before the gate for PvP for Carries now, but Mary is going to be right by the gate now, because their wildlands is not in the top right corner. That's where 4 provinces are, and that's probably why we're going to go there, right to Down. We have the other 3 provinces connected to it, 2,800 plots worth. It could be a nice RP hub, and there's some nice waterways and beautiful spaces there, and it's going to be right near all 3 of the gates. The gate to Anseen, Lioness, and Iniscalia. They're all 3. I mean, we can't see the gates on the map yet, but if it's in the bottom right, the gates need to be in the top right, kind of, in order to really go to those zones. And I think I see the little bump outs where they are. So I think that Mary will be in the same exact position, just how Tremin was, being close to all of the gates when you go to Down. So they're saying everything's going to be broken down. Literally everything will be broken down. The underlying reason for this is a huge changes to the economy date between the releases. That retaining items would be very hard. That's actually a good thing, yeah. The pond edge treatment should be better now. So there might be some bad cases with unnatural sides. They're talking about, they have mentioned that they're smoothing out the transitions between cliffs and valleys. And they're talking about the pond edge treatment should be better now. So maybe they'll flow into each other a little bit better. RPG system, any plans to add more offensive spells like Lightning Bolt, Poison Rain, etc.? Ostrich says, there are plans to bring offensive spells later, yes. So how I'm reading that is not in V3. That's how I'm reading that. It's not going to be coming with V3, but in the future, #SoonTM, we might get some more offensive spells. No flowing water in V3. Are there plans to enhance boss fights in dungeons and PvE wherein named bosses have special abilities? This is what we want. Yes, that's exactly what we want right there. Ostrich says we have rebalanced the game and the existing bosses should be harder to beat now. Right, but I mean, it'd be harder to beat if you just increase their damage numbers, right? If you just increase their damage and health, technically they're harder to beat. I think what people really want is actual bosses with mechanics, like this guy does a big sweep attack, and this one does a freaking fire nova, and this guy does, like, people want things to interact with these bosses and not just have them be big placeholders. Ostrich goes on to say, there will eventually be improvements to the NPC side, but not in the near future. So not with V3, we're not getting any improvements to the NPC side of bosses and dungeons and things like that, but they rebalanced them so they're going to be harder to fight. Ange, thank you for the 4th out of 10 super chat towards our super chat goal. Ange says, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Ange, I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Huge shout out to all my channel members too. Thank you guys for the continued support. You guys are the best. All right, nighttime should be mostly the same, but because we made the forest denser again, those become a bit darker during the night. That's really great to hear. I want to have a reason. I've always said from the beginning, I want a reason to have to use torches and lanterns. Make those last a lot longer and make nighttime so dark that you have to use them to get around. Give us those atmospheric feels and that adventure back in the world. But nighttime's going to remain mostly the same, they say here. In your previous resource system, many materials quickly lost their value. For instance, after just a month, almost no one needed tier 1 or tier 2 iron. Could you please explain whether the new system will address this issue? They say, we don't have a perfect solution to this yet, but the new economy has a lot more materials that are getting used throughout the crafting of higher tiers. Yeah, they did address that a little bit, where old materials, hey John, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. Old materials, the lower tier ones, are going to be needed in some higher tier crafts. John says all is well in Tremen. Great to hear. Sa says I'm going to unlike just so I can like again. That's freaking hilarious. Let's see what the next answer is here by the devs. For those of you just tuning in, we are reading through the answers that the devs are giving over on their verse 3 Q&A. This is live. This just opened up at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Will the dungeons be changed with V3, and does it change every time you enter a dungeon? Does it change every time you enter a dungeon? I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Are they asking like if it's procedural or something? We're still working on improvements to the dungeons themselves, so the changes for V3 will mostly be noticeable in the NPC difficulty and behavior. Oh, so he's contradicting what was set up above. They do say that behavior is being changed. Dungeons are persistent places in the world, so have a consistent pool of enemies to draw from. Each one has a chance to spawn a number of unique named NPCs that drop rare drops. Yes, 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 we know of these things. I'm curious if they're sticking with the open to all dungeon model, and if so, are they gonna enable PvP in these dungeons? Because right now it's very easy to get trolled in a dungeon. I mean, people can try to chain pull on you, and there's nothing you could do about it. You're in the protected zone, so you can't do anything about it. I'm curious what's gonna happen with that. In fact, I'm gonna ask that right now as well. Let's see. Will dungeons become PvP zones, or will dungeons become private instances at some point? I need to add something on the end here. So I'm saying, will dungeons become PvP zones, or will dungeons become private instances at some point? They're going to get mad because I'm using the word troll. They don't like when you call people trolls. But that's okay. I'm going to say it anyways. Because I'm always going to be honest, guys. I'm always going to tell you the truth. Here's my question that I'm typing now that we'll get to see hopefully an answer on later down. I'm saying, will dungeons become PvP zones, or will dungeons become private instances at some point? It can be frustrating to have trolls try to constantly chain pull on you, ruining the dungeon experience for a bunch of people. We're going to ask that as well. Okay, so I don't know when or if we will get answers to those questions, but I asked 2 questions down below already, so hopefully as we scroll through this, I'm going to keep our spot here, and hopefully as we scroll through, we'll be able to actually get some answers to those. Tom says, I have liked on all 1,000 of my YouTube accounts. Is that good enough? No, we need 2,000 accounts. No, I'm just kidding. Appreciate you, Tom. And for those of you who are excited about Dune Awakening, Tom is actually going to be holding the guild for that. And we're going to be picking a server coming up very soon. I don't really think the private servers are necessary for Dune. They don't really serve any purpose. They're only for the home valleys. All 3 of the other major zones are going to still be meshed. Like, you're going to have to go and play with other people. It's kind of an interesting, it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of just monitoring Dune and not really hopping in to play myself. I got a lot of other stuff going on still. So if they open up full, true private servers where you can just host your own server and have fun and enjoy the game, then I might consider. But Tom is going to be holding the guild for us over there because he's got the early access pass. He's going to be hopping in day 1. So we're going to be coordinating. I'm going to make a room for us for Dune Awakening coming up really soon over on the Discord, on CBU's Discord. We have an open to all Dune room right now, but we're going to get a Dune clan room going as well. Athena says, I'm anxious for a date. Tangia Dungeon firing up, guys. If you want to get in those Tangia Dungeons, they are free to join. All you have to do is have the Tangia page open. You can type !join now, and it'll pull up the page for you. But those are free to join. And thank you for the Tangias. I appreciate you. John says, log into Discord does not work on the sign-in screen. Does anyone have a good link? A good link for where? A login link for where, John? I'm not sure I understand. But yeah, no release date currently. And they said that they're not even probably able to give us a week notice anymore, which is kind of disappointing. LX1MN says, free to play player complain the most. Is that the case? Free to play players complain the most? I don't normally like free to play games. Like, when you have an MMO that's free to play, I mean, it welcomes in gold sellers and all kinds of stuff, just using alt accounts and things like that. They did address that. They said that it's not going to make those things not against the terms of service, but hopefully they can figure out some solution for that. John says, sorry, where is this being published? Oh, this is on their official PAX Day Discord. This is on their official PAX Day Discord in a room called Verse 3 Q&A. That's where all of this is coming from. All right, let's get on with some more questions and answers here. Let's scroll down and find our next answer from a dev. Ostrich here says, the player's skill level increases the item power of the weapons you are using. Yes, we knew about that. So as you become more proficient with the weapons, they'll actually increase your power level with them, thus cascading and increasing probably your power, not just your power, but also your threat and other things like that that are going to cascade from that. Because they said for every damage point, you get a threat point. So it's going to be important for tanks to be very proficient with the weapon that they're using to maximize their damage output, thus increasing their damage points, thus increasing all the way finally their threat output, because that's going to be multiplied by their weapon skill and all of that. So it's all of it's going to come together and actually create a pretty dynamic system, I would think. It's going to really be important to level up your skills. This message looks like it was deleted, but the Citadel's reinforced gates remain closed for now. Its mysteries revealed at a later date. So I don't know what the question was originally, but the gates are remaining closed. There's no combat experience gained from killing players in PvP. Okay, so that does answer a question that I had, was could we just go out into a zone and, you know, kill and revive each other over and over again in order to farm skills? So it's good to know that they have thought about that. So killing players in PvP does not yield any experience. But what if PvP is your main playstyle? You're going to have to be forced to go in PvE in order to skill up now. So that's going to create kind of an interesting little area there where PvP players are going to be forced to go in PvE, even though maybe it's not their playstyle. Maybe they don't want to PvE. They only want to PvP. They're not going to be able to do that really anymore now. Can we ping the specific devs for our specific questions? Koloko says it's better not. It's better not, or everyone will do it. I mean, if the question is directed at a certain dev, it would make sense to, but. In PAX Day, is PAX Day high or low fantasy? So they say that PAX Day is low fantasy. I would like to see it go high fantasy. I think that'd be really cool. They say if low, it is change. Is that changing in V3 with more magical things coming into the game? Our thinking of it is more in the vein of Game of Thrones. The game is grounded on medieval times and not magical. Until to start finding, language barrier with a lot of this, but until to start finding the magic, and then you can unlock capabilities similar to high fantasy games. Having said that, if your definition of high fantasy is being able to play characters of other races like elves, they're squarely low fantasy. So yeah, they've said really early on that their take on it is that they are low fantasy because they consider that to be the human struggle. We will always be human and we'll always have the human struggle. That's what they consider to be low fantasy. Gate locations changed in other provinces after this, ? And they say, yes, the gate locations changed in all provinces. This is done because of the swap and the addition to more Heartland valleys in each province. So all of the gate locations have changed in all provinces. Now that just may mean that they just shifted, who knows? Osric says, tools need certain skill level to use. There is no sub-branches. So all of your tools will need certain skills in order to be able to equip them. So like your axes and your pickaxes, things like that. V3 doesn't change this. So the question is, will the system of construction with trees underneath be solved, or will this continue to be a problem? They say V3 does not change this. So there's the answer, guys. Trees will still be coming through your plots almost a year into the game's development. Super, super disappointing. Trees are going to continue to come through. I think even the saplings are like the most annoying ones. The big trees I could understand, sure. I think that they should give us the option to plant trees and then allow us to get rid of those trees that are coming up through our builds. Because if you think about it, with the home valleys shrinking, there's already a limited number of spots that you can place your plots because you can't just really go into a forest that well because of the trees. It's going to limit the way that you can build and stuff. Sure, you can, but most people like to build in a nice open area so they don't have to worry about the trees coming through. That's gonna be very limited. Athena says no notice of 1 week. How do we prepare? I would say prepare now as if it's gonna be tomorrow. That's how you prepare, really. Just assume that it's going to be as soon as possible is really the only way, because there's no guarantee that we're going to get a 1 week notice anymore. They said they were going to give us one and they backed out on that, and they said that they don't know if they're going to be able to give us 1 week notice anymore. So trees are still going to come through our plots. Will underwater fauna and flora be added? Hopefully one day, not in V3. With new building sets coming in V3, would the team consider replacing and redesigning the current stone cube and staircase pillar elements with stacked and slotted together? There's a ton of new pieces incoming with V3, so we're getting a lot of build pieces. We went over the build pieces on previous episodes of PaxCast, but maybe there's more that we just don't know about. Are we getting clay floor tiles in V3? No clay tiles, but we've added a ceramic tile and flagstone floors. When designing the new combat, was PvP concepts and roles taken into account to make sure PvP combat is fun, engaging, and somewhat balanced? Osric on this one. Osric says, when designing abilities, we thought of both PvP and PvE when we were making them. Like Taunt is a great example. In PvE, it forces the target to attack the taunter, but we also added that it reduces the target's damage for a duration as well, so it's not completely useless in PvP. He says, how well the new armor and spells and weapons work in PvP remains to be seen. I'm eagerly waiting for the feedback from you guys. So we're going to continue with our PvP scrimmages and some of our other events that we're going to be hosting to really test all these things out. John, thank you for the 5th out of 10, halfway on our super chat goal. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Really appreciate you. Gave us a thumbs up. Appreciate you, John. Fadril says, so excited for more building and construction pieces. A lot of people are. A lot of people are really, really excited about all that stuff. Let's see some more questions here. Are materials being refunded? Yes, they're being refunded. So everything's being refunded. Hang on to everything because you're going to get raw materials from all of them. World question. In V3, are there still going to be home valleys? Are there still any home valleys with one of those absolutely giant trees in them? Yes, we've kept those. Some of them might have ended up in different locations due to the province rework, though. So there are still going to be the giant trees in some home valleys. It'd be nice if every home valley had some of those cool features, because otherwise people who want them are going to be forced to go to a certain area. Will we be able to place our plots in Lioness at any point in V3? This will not be possible. So there you go, answer to that. Clean and straightforward. The answer is no. Queen, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. Queen says, guess I need to start planning for post-wipe building. Yeah, 100%. Maven says, keep in mind there will not be one-to-one return on materials. Yeah, I think that's because some of the materials are going away too. Some of the materials just don't exist anymore. A lot of the items just don't exist anymore. Can you gather now materials in the corrupted plains? I think they mean new materials. In the corrupted plains, there was only enemies till now. There's resources in all biome types, yes. So there's going to be things to collect in the corrupted biomes. Date for V3. We won't announce any date in this Q&A. So if you guys are looking for a Q&A or an answer to the V3 and the V3's coming out question, you're not going to get an answer during this. They just outright said it right there. Osric again. This person says, first, thanks for all the devs for being here and answering questions. Keep up the great work. Great to hear a lot of the new stats. Can you explain what each of them do? Osric says, crowd control effectiveness is on tanking gear, heavy armor. This increases the effectiveness of CC abilities like stunned or chained enemies, like roots, I think. Crowd control resistance does the opposite of the receiving end. Or on the receiving end, more of this, shorter duration CC. So essentially, your crowd control resistance is how resistant you are to being crowd controlled, and your crowd control effectiveness is how effective your crowd controls are. I thought those were pretty straightforward, but he clarified those there. Let's see where the next answer is. As a potential returning player, I love how people feel the need to put their stuff in like caps and bold and whatnot to try and, or use big headers to try and make their stuff stand out. It's kind of cheesy in my opinion. But they say, as a potential returning player that hasn't played since the first month of EA, what are the top 3 points / improvements of V3 that would stand out as reasons to return to the game? Spire says, that's a hard one. The combat system is dramatically better in every way. The building system is improved and there's a massive amount of polish to everything. The building system is improved. I wonder what they mean by that. What did they improve on the building system other than just adding more? Because we know we're getting a bunch more build pieces, but I wonder what they mean by it's improved. That's interesting. I may need to ask a clarification question on that. Will the PvP be able to be activated outside of safe zones or only in the PvP map? In V3, PvP is only enabled in Lioness. So it sounds like literally nothing really is changing with PvP, to be honest. You can't build out there. The map is staying the same. The PvP is only going to be in the same zone still. So it sounds like really not much is happening with PvP, to be honest. It's going to be mostly the same, if not entirely the same. World trade towns, how much of them are coming in V3? How much of them are coming in V3? I don't even know if they are coming. Osric says trade towns are not a part of V3. They're not ready to be discussed. Yeah, so those trade towns, that's what I thought. Those trade towns just aren't coming yet. Are we getting back the full amount of regular relics? I think they said relics are disappearing. You're not getting any of the relics back. Spire says, on the non-unique relics, you're getting back exactly... Oh, so the non-unique relics you're getting back. But the unique relics, those are going away. You're not getting any of those back. John says, Lopez asked a PvP clarification. Lopez of the White Ravens? Oh my gosh. Victor says they are becoming like Blizzard before even becoming popular. What do you mean by that, Victor? Clarify that for me. What do you mean they're becoming like Blizzard? In which regard do you mean, Victor? Also, welcome into the stream. Blimpy says improved building probably just means their changes to simplifying the material requirements. Maybe that's what they mean. Maven says, keep in mind, devs have stated that Lioness gets a glow up after V3. I mean, yeah, they did say that, but again, that's #SoonTM. We don't, if it's not really talked about here, I'm just assuming it's far off. And this Q&A, they're just focusing on V3 anyway, so that's why they're pushing those questions off as well. They asked for all the questions to be V3 related, and since Lioness and PvP stuff probably is not really changing with it, that's why they're not really answering too many questions on that. Plastic says, did they fix the hole in the plots yet? That's a good question to ask, Plastic. Hopefully they did, because if they didn't fix that and they didn't fix the trees, a lot of people are going to be really, really upset. Like, really upset. Let's continue with these questions here. Will there be any advantage to wearing chain versus plate other than material cost? We did go over the differences between the items. We went over all the different tiers and stuff that we know of, and the differences between cloth, chain, and heavy armor, like plate. So we talked about those, but they say, Osric says the armor classes, or the armors are classified in heavy, medium, and light. Plate and chain are generally heavy armor. So chain and plate are typically considered the same here, according to them. Maven, thank you for our 6th out of 10 super chat. Happy birthday, Lady Athena. Tom says, can you ask them when horses are coming? I think they would love to answer that question. Well, someone already asked that and they said they're not coming with V3. They're not telling us when things are coming if they're outside of V3. They're just answering V3 questions. So they said that there is no other form of traversal coming with V3 other than what we have currently right now. So it sounds like the majority of V3 is going to be crafting changes, combat changes, and some building changes, they said. I'm not really sure what they mean in that regard, though, other than maybe the requirement to craft them. Ask them about donkeys. There's not going to be donkeys in the foreseeable future. More building pieces is an improvement, right? Improved building. I mean, I guess you could argue that, Brian, yeah? I guess you could argue that for sure. They said improved building as if like the process of building would be improved, and that's why I was curious like if there was going to be a tangible change to the way that we actually build as opposed to just more pieces. But yeah, you could argue that more pieces is improvement to it. Cat Died says bold and capitalized helps categorize so that the devs know which question is theirs. Bold and capitalized helps categorize so that the devs know which question is theirs. How do you mean? I think it's just random who's using bold and capitalized. They didn't want you to actually They didn't want you to at the devs. Because like they didn't want them to be categorized or anything, I don't think. But how does the bold and capitalized help the devs know which question is theirs? If they wanted that, they should just let people at them, I would think. Okay, let's find our next question and answer here. Are there any new furnishings being included in V3, namely for lighting and decoration purposes, for example, clutter items and things like that? They said not for V3, so we're not getting any clutter or any new decorations or lighting or anything like that for V3. We're only getting the build pieces for the aesthetics like archways and foundations and walls and roofs and things like, well, hopefully roofs. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But no clutter, no lighting, no extra little doodads and stuff like that. There's Hughes asking, will we be able to build around the Petra Day areas, the starter area crafting stations increasing to the no build zone? The no build zone is a bit larger than it is currently in live to give space for larger Petra Day area to ensure some new player resources have space to spawn. There you go. Good answer there. Will there be options for dueling in V3? No. No dueling in V3. Disappointment. Damn. Just discussing dueling today, and we really want to add it though. No ETA right now. So there was a clarification on Osric by Spire. Let's find our next answer. Another question from Hughes will the walking and running speed of the character change in relation to your armor? They've already answered that actually. Buried in their, it's good to ask it in this Q&A to bring it up again, but they did already answer that and they said that it's actually not going to. So let's see what Osric has to say about it. There is no passive movement speed bonus on armor. You can get movement speed enhancing spells on your feet slot, which we did see. We showed off a bunch of those on previous episodes of PaxCast as well. But they only do it for a limited amount of time. Let's see here. Will there be anything like bags or boxes to expand the carry ability or a mail system to send things back home? Not right now. Things related to that are on the to-do list, but no ETA. Do you guys manage to fix ugly seams? Did you manage to fix the ugly seams in the world? Not yet. It's an Unreal bug. At the moment, slated for a 5.7 fix. Okay, interesting. So they linked us over to the Unreal issue on the board here. Cat Died says no. He said it was clear. Cat Died says no. He said it was cheesy. People formatting their questions to stand out. Well, I think most people are formatting their questions to make them just simply stand out, like using bold and big headers and stuff like that to be like, hey, look at me. I mean, that's just the way I see it. It's like everyone else is just doing normal questions and then people are like, pick me, pick me. That's why I said it was cheesy. John says I needed a pumpkin before October. Tom says, can you ask them if they have any jobs going? And if yes, what's the hourly rate? You mean like, are they hiring? You're asking if they're hiring? I don't think they're hiring. They just laid off a third of their staff, Tom. So they're not getting rid of the ugly world seams yet. That's an Unreal bug, they said. So we're still going to have trees coming through our world, or through our builds. We're still going to have their big rips in the world. We're still not getting horse. There'll be basic crafters around the Petra Day. This we know. Is dye part of V3? No, dyeing is not part of it. We have not had time to implement this yet, so no dying coming with V3. What is your favorite spell or weapon ability coming to V3? What do you think for certain will become an auto include? I'm not really sure what that end part means. What do you think for certain will become an auto include? Osric answers this one. I like the Tempest command on the two-handed mace that pulls enemies in a radius to the user. We looked at some of these abilities too, guys, in previous PaxCasts as well. There are some pretty cool abilities coming. It's really good for tanking. I believe that the ambush on medium armor is going to be very popular as it allows you to be temporarily invisible and move around. I wonder how that's going to be when you actually go invisible. Are you fully invisible? Do you have a shimmer? I don't know, but I'm really interested to find out more about that as well. Maybe we'll ask that question. And do a power surprise attack to come out of stealth. So they have like a new stealth ability on the medium armor, which again, we did show off that. Combat. As you reworked the combat system, can we hope a hand-to-hand skill? Oh, they want like fists. We allow barehanded combat only, so... Wait, what's going on here? We allow barehanded combat only, so player has some means to defend themselves when they have no weapon equipped? I guess that's just him confirming that you will have hand-to-hand combat. It sounds like a confirmation. What is your favorite spell? For the sheer fun, I love the yoink ability from the spear. Definitely suggest you try it. Oh, okay. So the spear will have a single target pull, it sounds like. That's how I take that. Athena says limestone building pieces. I think for sure we're getting the limestone building pieces, Athena. They said we're getting a lot. We're getting a lot of new building pieces. Blimpy says, okay, I will be dying in V3. You mean like you're gonna die? Why? What makes you say that, Blimpy? Jackson says it would be neat to have a backpack slot. You could equip it to carry more stuff / weight. They don't have a weight system, and I don't think they're going to have a weight system from what I've read in the past. But to increase your carry capacity, having a backpack would be pretty nice, to be honest. John says, are we still thinking about down? We will hold a Sanguine Council meeting before. I'm going to get that on the books as well. We will be holding that before it actually goes live. It's going to be hard to plan that when we don't have a week notice anymore. They've backtracked on their week notice. But I am still thinking down or Bronnier. I'm looking at those two still. They're both really good spots. Athena, I can't confirm that the limestone's coming, but I'm fairly certain that that will be coming. Maven says, anyone asked if griffins will be fabricated in game for V3? I don't think anyone asked that yet. I would ask that, Maven. Or if you're busy, I can pop that question in there. Let me pop that one in there. Will we be getting griffins and wyverns for V3? There we go. I popped it in there. So when we get down below, we'll get an answer to that. Okay, let's find our next answer here. We published a new map with the new locations of Petrodays and Ruins before V3. They say, repeating the reply, we cannot promise we'll be able to. So there's no promise that we'll be able to actually do that. Are there any new spells, either damage or healing spells, supporting in V3 that require actual aiming and not just tab targeting? Well, we don't really have tab targeting, unfortunately. Tab targeting would be nice to have in this game, to be honest. Like, I would be a fan of tab targeting. Osric says there are healing spells called... There's a healing spell called Divine Orb that essentially is a healing projectile. It's a skill shot. That's kind of cool. Soldier system will be in V3, question mark. It will not be a part of V3. So yeah, again, like nothing really is changing with PvP in any regard, pretty much. Maven says, thank you, Void. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to get a couple questions in there, you know? We got to make sure that we get some answers to some of these burning questions. Do you consider June 20th the last day of spring? Depends on the weather. People, stop asking questions about the release date. Well, I mean, it's probably one of the most important things, so you can't really blame people. And he didn't really ask about the release date. He just said, when do you consider the end of spring? So they're to them, they don't consider that. To me, that says June 20th is not the end of spring to them. They consider the end of spring weather-based, which is not really correct if you ask me, but I think that's their way of saying that we may get V3 after June 20th. Will new regions be introduced in the same provinces as V3, but revamped? I think they meant new provinces. I don't think they really meant new regions. I think they meant provinces, because we already know that we're getting the new home valleys and stuff. Oh, there's my question. Let's see, maybe we get an answer to it. Yep, right here. So what is the reason behind swapping Carries and Mary on the map? Gian says, we can't give an exact reason yet. How can you not give an exact reason yet? They must surely have a reason of why they did it, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But they said we can't give an exact reason yet. But it was done to anticipate the need for space closer to the gates to Lioness. Okay, so you were right. Whoever said that in chat, you were right. That's why they're doing that. But the gate to Lioness for Mary now is right by down and all those. It's almost like the same situation, though. It doesn't really, that kind of confuses me. But they say it was done to anticipate the need for a space close to the gates to Lioness. I don't really know what that means. Yeah, that's confusing, because if you close your eyes and picture Carries and Mary and you swap spots, exactly where Tremin is exactly where Down is going to be now. Victor says they have a semi-target system now. It's not visible, but you have two enemies in front of you. They are switching to like F1 through F6, targeting your allies. So you will actually have a target system now, Victor, going forward. It's not tab target, though, but it's kind of similar. It's a F target, if you will. Red says, has Mainframe addressed that two at-home devs working on Vayne have literally made 18 plus updates to their passion project on a game that Mainframe has 50 plus? Well, they had 80 something developers. They just axed a third of them, though. No, they have not addressed that, though, Red. Let's see where the next answer is. So they can't give us an exact reason yet. Oh, by the way, I do have some information regarding recruitment posts. For anybody who's posting recruitment posts, make sure you're under 750 characters, including spaces. They changed, it was a little shady. They changed the recruitment posts, the amount of characters that you can do in a recruitment post, but they didn't tell anybody. And they just edited their original post to change the number to 750. So I went to post and I was over 750, got filtered. I thought it was a bug, tried to have someone else do it. They got filtered. Come to find, I put in a ticket and asked them, and they said they did change it, but they can't really tell us. What did they say exactly? They said they could not give more details about what it used to be compared to what it is now. That's what they said. We can't give any details as to what it used to be and what it is now. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but make sure that your recruitment posts are under 750 characters. You can see on the first picture of the equipment more than just stats, that the scaling of health points is very much based on high quality armor. Will the healing potions be adjusted accordingly? Yes, consumables have been adjusted to match the new health balance. Yes, because certain items now, you'll have a lot more health. They rebalanced all of that. So like the total health pool is different now. Gusta says, perhaps a better question for the devs is, what the heck can they tell us? That would be a good question. I support that question. What the heck can you tell us? That is actually a good one. I like that. Thank you for that comment, and thank you for tuning into the stream. It's great to see you. Welcome in. For anyone else who's new, don't be shy, guys. I love reading your chat and your comments and stuff. It's my favorite thing to do. This stream is a special edition, so it's a little bit harder for me to get to all of your questions. Normally, I read every single comment to the best of my ability that comes in on my YouTube channel here, but I'm doing my best to keep up with the chat over on the Discord, to keep up with these live Q&A. So that's why I'm suffering a little bit on reading all of your guys' comments. But if you want it read for sure, put it in a super chat. Absolutely, I'll get to it. Let's continue here with the Q&A. Where will our players spawn after the wipe? So it's gonna do it exactly how it happened with the last wipe. For people who are new and don't know, you will have your character still existing, but you'll have to re-solidify your name. When you log in for the first time, you'll pick your character, and then you will pick where you want to go. So you'll go and you'll pick your home valley and your province and all that, and then you'll drop in there and you'll get to re-pick your name or lock your name back in. So make sure you hop in, get your name real quick, pick your home valley and all that stuff, and we will hold a Sanguine Council meeting to determine where we're going to be going. Tom says, can you ask them if they think I should do the next Inner Sleuth intro? We can ask them, but I don't think it's V3 related, so they probably will ignore it. Plastic says, yes, a lot of the we can't give reasons because they are foreshadowing other changes in the future that have not been announced. Potentially. Yeah, it could be a reason. I think it does build a lot of frustration with people, though, because we'd like to know those things. We'd like to be a part of the development process, even if certain things need to get backed, stepped back a little bit. When will bows get some love and relic spells? So they already addressed this. But Ostrich says, we've already made changed a bit how the bows work and made it slightly better to use, and changed a bit how they scale with the bow skill. However, they will receive a bigger rework later, and we'd love to do them. But it is going to take a while. So essentially, we're not going to get the bow rework for a while. Ostrich is confirming there. Will you be able to place plots in the Wildlands in V3? No. Will the nights be getting darker and full of terror? There is no shortage of dark place in the world of PaxCast. They already addressed this up above. The nights are going to remain mostly the same, but the dense forests will appear to be darker simply because they're more dense, though, not because the nights are actually becoming more dark. Will we be able to permanently remove trees from our plots yet? No. They already addressed that one. Well, what is the plan for specialized physical resistances / Pierce Blunt? Those are visible in announcement character window, but armor only has physical defense. Ostrich says, in V3, we simplified the stats on armor to give room for other attributes. The armor in V3 gives protection to all types of physical attacks, but we still have the different damage types available for potential future use. So there they go. They're giving us a little bit of insight into the future there. So right now, all of the damage mitigation types for physical are going to be across the board the same, but it allows them to change it if they want to. Red says you're giving them too much credit. They don't even know what they're going to eat for Din Din. Another Tangia dungeon. Plastic says a longbow effect up to 400 meters for area fire, and up to 200 meters for accurate target fire. Anything under 100 meters and you're aiming at a man-sized target, you'll hit with minimal drop. I am looking forward to the bows getting a complete overhaul. Will the Zweihander make a comeback? The Great Sword model has changed to be bigger, but it's not the Zweihander. Very likely the Zweihander will not arrive anytime soon. I know a lot of people were disappointed by that. They were taking certain things out as opposed to adding more in, and some people thought that they were actually moving backwards on that. Someone asked, why was weather removed from the roadmap? Spire says, making a good weather system that integrates well into gameplay is a huge effort, and we don't want to promise when it'll land, and as we don't know yet. Our team is not huge. Our team is not huge? What do you mean your team's not huge? You have a ton of people. And deep pockets at that. But they say our team is not huge. We need to pick our battles. Red, weren't you saying that Vane was a dev team of 2 and they have weather and they're using Unreal Engine? They have a dev team of 2 and it's literally a passion project that's free. We're talking about, well, they had 80 staff. They just axed a third of them, but they're saying their team's not huge. They also have a lot of money. Red says GTA 6 will drop before PAX Day becomes relevant again. Maybe. I guess we'll see. If V3 is good, it could bring a lot of people back. Plastic says every video game with bows severely limits their effectiveness and it pisses me off. Yeah, it would be nice to see bows really shine, to be honest. So they say that weather got removed from the roadmap because their team's not huge, so they have to pick their battles. Are we going to see a use for granite in V3 or only limestone pieces? Granite foundations are added to V3. So there you go. There's an answer to that. That's actually a good answer. So granite foundations are added, but only foundations is what I understand, is my understanding from that. Is that granite foundations are going to be the only form of granite that we're going to really need, other than probably crafting. There's probably going to be some crafting implications there. Do those resistances stay in foods? The foods will still provide defense to a specific defense to a specific defense. That's kind of confusing. The effect of them were scaled down a bit, so foods will still have a specific defense associated with them, according to aUEC here. There was work done to rebalance foods, but not as much as we would have liked. They will be revisited later. So the foods are still going to provide some level of resistance, but they were scaled down. That's good to know. So foods are going to be, I would think they're going to be much less effective. aUEC mentions bosses. Can we confirm in the context we're referring to the name of mobs and elites? Actual bosses are getting added. Actual bosses are getting added in V3, or are they? aUEC clarifies and says, I have most likely talked about named NPCs that drop relics. So it sounds like we're not getting real bosses in V3. That's how I read that. We'll be able to place plots in the Wildlands in V3. Nope. We will not be able to place plots. The Wildlands are still too wild to host plots in V3, they say. Will there be world bosses? Not for V3. If skinning knives make it into V3, how will they interact with the skinning? The better the knife, or the better knives have better hardness and speed up skinning. We still need to later make a pass to making them great. The V3 version is not quite as good as we'd like. Okay, interesting. With higher level normal mobs, or will higher level normal mobs give higher combat XP, or just the veteran mobs? In V3, enemies will come in tiers 1 through 4. They will also come in normal and veteran varieties. Higher tier enemies give more XP. Veteran enemies give even more XP, but are balanced for groups. So there you go. That's some interesting information right there. We're going to have tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 and veteran, probably much along the lines of elites, like in World of Warcraft, you have the elite mobs. That's probably what they're referring to here. Building, will there be more plant and foliage pieces in V3? They already addressed that up above. No, we're not getting any more decorations at all. No decorations, lighting, or anything like that. Actual bosses, as in giant enemies with different statuses, not a part of V3. What sorts of items in particular do you see like things people are eager to get and pay money for instead of self-crafting? High tier magic gear, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the case right now. People want to get high tier magic stuff as it is. That's how it was in the previous patches also. How will stats and status effects work with the new gear? How do they stack? That is actually a good question. I'm actually going to ask another question down below. I'm going to ask if diminished returns are a thing. So let's say, will diminished returns on status effects be a thing? This will be very important for PvP as well as PvE. So I'm going to ask that as well, because that's something that I'm really curious about. I really want to know if there's going to be diminished returns, because we talked about this before. If they don't have diminished returns. Victor says, they are lazy. I have a strong feeling about it. Too many coffee breaks. It could be. I don't know. I mean, let's see. I think Red had a message up above right here. Vane has literally 2 self-taught devs, and they have a working weather system with lighting effects and volumetric fog and lights. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about that. I thought that was kind of interesting that their answer was, we don't have a huge team. That's why weather got bumped. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Let's find some more answers. Bunny in V3. Important questions. Important question. Rabbits confirmed in V3. Will tanks be able to stand and tank multiple monsters if they have a healer with them? Yes, for a while. Well, again, because your spirit is going to be your mana, and as your spirit gets depleted in your healer, you're going to lose the ability to be able to effectively heal your tank. Now, keep in mind, tanks will still have their emergencies. They'll still have their health potions, their resistance potions. They'll still have their abilities. They'll probably have stuns and roots and things like that. So it's not going to be solely down to if you have a healer with you. You'll be able to still tank without, having a ton of throughput from your healers, I would think. Will the limestone building pieces finally be revealed at the start of V3? Yes. Or be released at the start of V3? Yes, they say. So bunny in V3, and it got another response saying, not the bunny you are referring to. What bunny is he referring to? Is he referring to the evil bunny? Kathleen, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. Kathleen says, Quinfall has 13 devs, and they have weather, fishing, farming, husbandry, horses, etc. I know, right? And that's why I find that interesting that was their response. They don't have a huge team. They had like 80 some people there, and they just laid off a third of them. So they do kind of have a big team, and they have millions in funding. So I don't know. That's a great comment, though. Thank you very much, Kathleen. We got another super chat, our 7th out of 10 super chats towards our super chat goal. Really appreciate you. Maven says, no room at home ahead of packing for the wipe. No room at home ahead of packing for the wipe, question mark. Come stay with us at the Stag and Willow Inn. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a plug. Go to the Stag and Willow Inn. Ask for Drill and Moon about our rooms and food specials. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Maven, for the super chat. Where's our next answer? Let's see. Will we get a toggle to hide our helmet in V3? Not in V3. We have discussed this. Very likely it'll be made so that you can turn off helmets on your character, but you can force helmets on other characters for PvP purposes. Ah, okay. So eventually we're going to be able to hide our own helmet on our end for RP purposes, but then other people can be able to see your helmet for PvP purposes. That's an interesting take on that, really. I mean, you really only have a couple options when it comes to showing and hiding gear and cosmetics and stuff. I think in World of Warcraft, it's okay to have things like transmog items because if you think about it, you can tell someone's power level by their health and stats and stuff. So it's not as big of a deal over there, being able to transmog your gear to look like you're naked or something, you know? But it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work. You're going to be able to force to be able to see other people's helmets, but you will be able to hide your own helmet for yourself. So there's something to that. Can we make trees disappear on the plots when you build? Not yet. That's like the third time they had to answer that one. That's rough. That's really rough. Trees are still going to be coming through plots. Will V3 include unique player crafted items with variable stats? Not like this in V3. Okay, so we're not getting that. Can you use a consecrated ground in V3 as like now, or was the spell removed? You cannot use it for generating endless amounts of threat. The spell's purpose changed a bit and now only provides defense. Okay, so that's actually a good thing, I think. Consecrated ground can now safely be used by healers without generating endless amounts of threat. So they have reworked that. That's pretty cool to see. How do you envision group combat composition in PvE and how is it balanced? I.e. 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS, or 1 tank, 2 healers, 3 DPS? I would assume it's going to be 1 tank, 3 DPS, 2 healers. If I had to guess, you'll have 1 healer dedicated pocket healing the tank with a little bit of off heals, and then you'll have the other healer healing the group if they end up taking damage. That's how I would think, or maybe even 1 healer if they're good with 4 DPS to drop stuff faster. I would envision, you know, you really only probably need 1, but they say, Osric with the answer here, we have been planning it with 1 healer and 1 tank in mind, but players will very likely find more efficient ways to do dungeons than we have. Yeah, so 1 and 1 looks like. Crafting. Will impure iron be convertible all the way to pure iron in V3? Yes, but it's very intensive compared to collecting pure iron. So you're going to be able to tier up your resources now. That's one of the things that they're doing in order to make old materials still viable. So you're going to lose a lot in translation, obviously, but you're going to be able to tier them up, which I think is pretty good. Let's see what other parts we got here. What questions do we have answers to? How do you plan to structure the endgame PvP in Lioness? Are you planning to add the ability to do sieges? So they're not doing anything with PvP is my understanding. Not part of V3. Will announce PvP changes sometime after V3 is live. So yeah, they're not doing anything with PvP really. Just think of PvP, nothing is getting happened. Nothing is taking place with PvP pretty much. Sauce says, by the way, I know people are trying to prepare. Does this mean we need to put things in our inventory? Well, and with certain group builds, like down at the big plot of land that we have, you're going to get the materials back that you place unless they're on your plot. So some people are picking up things and packing up their cities and putting them into chests on their property and things like that. They said that you should still get things from your previous redeeming queue. Should carry over, but it wasn't really a direct answer. We got another answer from Osric here. Good evening. Combat. Will you add daggers and dual wield for swords and axes? That's a great question. Dual wielding weapons might come at some point, but they will work so that you equipped a specific weapon, example, dual axes. Oh, okay. So it's not going to be like you get to pick putting 1 here and 1 here. It will be like 1 item that will be considered dual axes. There's no plans for a freedom dual wielding system or freeform dual wielding system. Damn, that would have been really, really cool. That would have added so much variety to let you have a dagger and a sword, an axe and a sword and a dagger. Like that would have been so cool to be able to actually do that, but it looks like that's not on the table for the game, unfortunately. Will item durability be increased so we don't need to bring 3 to 4 sets when we hunt all day? If you hunt all day, you will need to prepare with multiple sets. I have heard that they are increasing the durability. Allowing for more home valleys also led to a reduction in wildlands area. Will the number of spawns in a given wildland biome stay the same as before? So they're asking, will it have increased density or not? Got an answer here that says the world has changed a lot, and so have the resources. We updated the distribution accordingly and made sure there's plenty to find. So I guess that means that density will go up, or it's been completely overhauled. Density has been reworked is probably the best way to put that. The loot system isn't really appropriate for dungeon runs by members of different clans. In V3, will the loot system... That's a great question. That is an awesome, awesome question. And unfortunately, it's still the same. So we're still not getting the very basics. I consider that to be the absolute bare minimum of a multiplayer MMO style game, is to have a proper loot system where you can have round robin, you can have shared loot, you can roll on things, you can have, master loot and all of those things. We're not getting any of that. It's staying the same. It is still the same, Ostrich says. That is mega ultra disappointing. I know a lot of people are going to be really upset about that. Are steel items being broken down to the pure iron? They will go to pure iron. Yes, everything's being broken down, guys. Every single thing is being broken down to the raw materials. Will some resources only be available in the PvP zone? Not in V3. So there's, again, no changes to PvP or anything like that, or resource acquisition in PvP is not going to change with V3. Have you thought about adding more content to the PvP map? They talked a lot about this. Lioness 2.0 is on the roadmap, and they have been discussing about adding exclusive rewards there. Will a random spawn system for resource nodes be implemented to prevent farming bots with static routes? I would love to see that. That's another really great question. That's an awesome question. And let's see, I lost my spot here. The world has changed a lot, and so have the resources. We've updated the distribution accordingly and made sure that there's plenty to find. A major change in that is that resources can now move when they are blocked by plots. This ensures players don't block off resources. Well, if they can do that with resources, they should be able to eventually do that with trees, right? Move the trees away from the plots then when someone places down their plot. So they're not going to be dynamic, but if you place a plot, it will cause them to move, to always be accessible, I'm assuming. We'll be able to give ourselves a haircut change, not in V3. Damn, so no haircut changes. So this really is kind of limited to crafting and combat. And again, another world change for some reason, another world change. Even though the other worlds were just as beautiful, we're getting another world change, crafting, some more build pieces, and combat. That's ultimately, it sounds like, the extent of V3. Which, in some regards, is kind of disappointing, to be honest. Because we're still going to be fighting the same mobs. We're going to have some new spells and stuff to go along with that combat, which will be good. Cat Died says sad, sad, sad. Yeah, there's a lot of sad going around. There's a lot of sad going around right now, Cat Died. Let's see, maybe we get some more good answers down below. Let's see what we got here. They say yes and no. The V3 resource system does support randomized spawn locations, but we've currently only used it for animals. Okay, well there's something good. So animals will have dynamic randomized spawn locations, but resource nodes do not. Hopefully they can just flip that switch and carry that over to resource nodes, because I think that that adds a lot to the world when you have to actually go explore. Athena says, does steel become pure or impure iron? Your steel will become pure. Your steel will be broken down into pure iron. Polish, performance, hello. As before, my question is about performance. Is the game and some GPU issues? So they're wondering about performance here. The answer is, we've made considerable performance improvements in V3, most notable on NPC spawns and how those get streamed in, as well as fixing graphic-related bugs that may have caused issues for people. I can't speak to specific GPUs, but work always continues to make the game run better on a wide range of hardware. So they're talking here about how NPCs are streamed in is changed. I'm not positive that has to do with the majority of lag. I think the majority of lag has to do with build pieces that people are putting in the world. The sheer volume of build pieces, I think, is what affects it the most. So hopefully they can address that at some point, but they are changing the way that NPCs are streamed in. Will V3 allow crafting from nearby plots or chests? If not, is that planned or something you can that you've not looked at? This is not in V3 and also not in the plans right now. So no plans at all currently to be able to build from nearby plots or chests or anything like that. I do like how V-Rising did it, where you build your resource room and then you put all your resources in there and then you can pull from that room to build and craft and do all this stuff. It's just a really nice quality of life feature. But for some people, they wouldn't like it. But the nice thing is you wouldn't have to utilize it if you don't like to. Just like with fast travel, you're not forced to use fast travel. You don't have to use it. Where's our next answer? Is there more reason to swim/dive in V3? There is no diving. Swimming is supposed to be relatively simple to allow players to access to islands, etc. So nothing really coming in terms of water changing, it sounds like. And they already talked about there's no flora or fauna being added into the water. Cat Died says steel will break down into pure iron. I thought I read somewhere. Yes, yeah, it's gonna break down to pure. Maven says Coloco has stated several times that it's impure. Well, they just answered it here twice, I think, saying that it's going to be pure. According to what I read, I believe so. I think it's going to be pure. And that's the thing too. Their delivery on that stuff is just like, it's so confusing. One person says one thing. It's like they're not on the same page. One person says one thing, someone else says another. It can be very confusing. I'm not going to lie. Lioness is not changing for V3. Are enemies still spawning above the caves? That's a great question. We have fixed a number of bugs related to NPC spawning in unwanted places. There's still a few issues still open. So it sounds like it's a maybe. They say it will happen less than it did previously, so they will still be spawning on top of the caves. I just feel like I'm the bearer of bad news with a lot of this stuff. You know, these questions come out like, hey, is this thing fixed? No, it's not fixed. Hey, is this thing fixed? No, that's not fixed. What about this? Is this fixed? No, that's not fixed. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to tell you. At least it's being improved, I guess. Will a random spawn system and resource nodes be implemented? A new feature that will help with resources is in V3. If you build a plot on top of resource node, they will basically move. That's good to know. When is V3 coming out? They've basically said that they're not going to answer that. Can you implement a feature to mark parties in a group for visibility? Quality of life like this has been discussed, but will likely be a bit before we get to implement something like this. So no quality of life in terms of parties and stuff like that, it sounds like. Allowing for more home valleys also leads to reduction of wildlands areas. We'd be transferred. Okay, so this one is answered again now. I think this was already asked before. Yes, so we're talking about density here. It was answered again for the second time. The number of forts and ruins has been increased both in home valleys and in the wildlands, so you can expect increased density overall when it comes to NPC sites. So there you go. We're going to have more NPC sites. Maven says, I'm excited to see what is coming out with V3. So it sounds like V3 is pretty much some crafting changes, some combat changes along with new spells, and they say building changes, but I think that means new building pieces. I'm pretty sure that is the totality of what's coming with it. Let's see if we can find out what else might be coming with it here. Are there incentives to go to Lioness in V3? Pure iron distribution has been changed and is now more available again in Lioness. Higher tier resources also have a longer respawn time, so there will be more need to go into Lioness. Oh, okay. They've made it to where higher tier resources take longer to respawn. So going out into Lioness will be a little more useful because they'll respawn faster out there. That's good to know. Thanks for the previous answer, Osric. For combat, this goes a bit beyond V3 launch, but might come in V3's life cycle. But when thinking about offensive magic, are you thinking that it will use staves as well? Osric says it's hard to say right now. There's quite a bit of different things we need to focus on in the coming months. Maybe won't get to this before fall at least. Okay, so they're talking about offensive spells, and he says might not get to that before fall. How excited are you for the release of this update, and how great is your anticipation or perhaps concern about how thoroughly this update will be tested? Of course, they are excited. It is one of our bigger updates for sure. Well, it is let's be honest, it is your big update. This is your year update. This is the update of the year, if we're being honest. I mean, we got market stalls, okay. We got a slight combat fluidity, but now you said that all the animations are changing anyways. So the last combat overhaul, I mean, we got some small camps and stuff added too, but this is the update for all intents and purposes. This is our yearly update to the game. So they're excited for it, but they're the devs. They should be excited for it. It's us who need to be the ones that need to become excited for it based on the answers that they're giving here, whether good, bad, or indifferent. Players finding unforeseen problems, of course, going to happen. Yeah, that's going to happen for sure. But that's why we need to get our F8s in. It would have been nice, and I did give a little pushback on this, for the F8 reports. They said that all of this stuff has been in the works for like 6 months or more or something like that. It would have been nice to know that, because then we could have just not given our F8 reports and wasted our time putting in those reports for things that are being completely reworked. That's why a lot of those bugs did not get addressed with combat, because they were completely changing the combat system 6 months ago. It would have been nice to know that, and that comes down to the communication. It's one of the biggest things I've given them pushback on is their communication, but I'm going to praise them for doing this Q&A. However vague some of the answers might be, they are nice to get these answers, right? Sala says, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but it sounds to me like the new stuff won't be a lot or enough to keep people for very long again. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know. I guess we'll see once we get our hands on it. I hope that it's not just another patch cycle where, hey, we destroyed your buildings just to make you have to rebuild them. So come gather, harvest, and build, and then, earn the things and make the gear through the new combat. And then once you're done doing those couple dungeons, it's like it pitters off again. Hopefully that's not the case, because right now it's under 300 players across all servers who are even playing PAX Day. And on average, it's like 100, 150 players across all servers. It's pretty abysmal on that end. So hopefully this can keep people active for longer. And that's really what the game needs to survive, honestly. Like, the game needs to have systems that are going to keep people engaged for an extended period of time. Because if you think about it, if the game was to come out and it doesn't have the ability to captivate people for a long enough time, how are they really supposed to gain money from the subscriptions? And if they don't gain money from the subscriptions, they're going to have to close up shop. I'm just being realistic there. Marshlow, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Marshlow says, you think there will be a combat power level with combining all item level gear like in other games? I think it's going to be specific to, from my understanding, it's specific to the application. So if you have a weapon, it will have a power modifier. I don't think your armor is going to have a power modifier per se. I think that's going to have like a defense modifier. So all the defense modifiers will go into your defenses of the different categories, whether it be physical, piercing, slashing, blunt, or magic. And then I think your weapons will have the weapon damage modifier. I think some spells and your proficiencies with the weapons and the tier of the weapon will go into your damage modifier, though. Hopefully that answers your question, Marshlow. Also, great to see you. Welcome into the stream. Sa says maybe. In the meantime, we'll wait and see. She smacked us with the uwu and a brisket. Red says, update of the year, laughing my ass off. Oh my, that bar was set so high. Athena says mainframe needs to speed up the update process to keep players playing. I agree. I'm inclined to agree, and I think that keeping up with these Unreal Engine updates is really slowing them down. They stated themselves in this Q&A that it's really given them some hindrance. So I don't know. I think that it's slowing them down quite a bit using Unreal and keeping up with the most current Unreal Engine version. I think that's really slowing them down. But I do agree. I think that they need to pump out a little faster than one big update per year in order to really captivate people and keep them interested. Marshall Gaming says, hoping for set stat bonuses. I think that'd be cool. I did mention that at one point. I think that set bonuses would be awesome to see, because then it would really, you can choose to mix and match, but it would really kind of incentivize people to want to complete their set to get those bonuses if they care about those bonuses. You can't just wear one piece from all these different sets. You'd want to complete it. I think that'd be really cool. Will there be big DPS spells or only healing support? Not in V3. Eventually, yes. And he said around fall, we may see potentially pushed out to fall. We'll see offensive spells. Economy. Are we going to see markets being able to have buy orders? We really want to add this feature, just haven't had the time to do this yet. What's the most important question we haven't asked yet? When is the patch released? Oh, he's joking. I was like, wait, people have asked that. Will we be getting Griffins and Wyverns for V3? That was my question. Ostrich says, no Griffins and Wyverns in V3. Damn. We've heard their noises for so long. I don't know what the holdup is on that. They're probably waiting to come out with a big world boss update or something, but no Griffins or Wyverns. There you go. Can spells and weapons be leveled up or improved through use? Yes, you can level combat skills by killing PvE opponents in V3. But they asked about spells. I don't think spells are going to level up through that way. I think it's only your martial abilities, like your attacks, your stabs and stuff like that, based on your weapon. I don't know. Oh, well, maybe if you're using a staff and you cast a spell, that will increase your proficiency with the staff. Yes. So yeah, it would for sure. Are there a bunch of features in V3 you're keeping quiet or as a surprise? There might be a few surprises, but the big strokes are revealed. So there might be a couple little surprises, but the main things we do know about. So we do know about all the big stuff that's coming, the big three really. The building pieces, the combat overhaul, and the crafting changes. Maven says, I want to be able to change my hairstyle somehow. Absolutely, I think that is essential. Give us a mirror, let us cut our own hair. I mean, hell, you can change your hair in Vane, again, made by 2 people, and you can cut your hair in that game too. What are some other questions we need to ask, guys? What's another question that I can pop in chat? One of the announcements was on how V3 should make gathering more interesting for longer sessions. Are we going to see specific gathering gear, bags, or anything that will change the gathering of the current gameplay loop? Gathering gear has been discussed, but won't be in V3. So again, another no. Oh, did they just close the Q&A? I guess it has been 2 hours, hasn't it? Yeah, we're just under the 2 hour mark, so they closed the Q&A, but we're still going to go through all these questions, guys. The rest of them here. We're only about a little over halfway down through scrolling, so we are going to go through the rest of it. So unfortunately, we can't ask any more questions, but we got a couple good ones in there, and hopefully the community picked up the slack and asked a bunch of questions, because we're going to keep going through these, and we're going to make sure that we read all of their different answers. So it has been discussed, but it won't be coming in V3. Can we pet the foxes in V3? I wonder who could have asked that. No, sorry, not yet. Hey, you're saying there's a chance. At some point, you'll be able to pet the spy fox. Interesting. I don't know if he's just being funny. You know, Ostrich, he could just be being funny. I don't know. Someone else asks, with V3, is there a fast travel to your own plot, maybe with more grace costs? Not in V3. We have plans for this, though. So they have plans, but again, hashtag soon TM. Plastic says, when do I get animal husbandry? I want pigs and chickens and cows. That's a great question, Plastic. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to that. I think that it's essential to bring the game to where a lot of people want it to be, because some people, they just want to do that gameplay. They just want to role play in a town as being a farmer or something, doing animal husbandry, raising horse, and getting their stats perfected for different people and stuff like that. That's a great question. Unfortunately, the Q&A has closed, but maybe someone else already asked it. I guess we'll see. And fishing. I know fishing's a big thing. I don't think we're going to get fishing for quite some time. Ange says, oh no, my boy Ostrich would never let me down. He knows my army goals. Okay, let's see what other answers we got here. Can we pet the foxes in V3? And Coloco says you can with your pointy stick. So there you go, Ange. You got your answer. Imperial Orc, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. We're just going over all these answers we got from the devs about PAX Day. But Ange, you got your answer there. You can pet them with your pointy stick, according to Coloco. I have a feeling that Coloco is on a list of yours now. I have a feeling. Blimpy says I need to bail for lunch, 2 p.m. Thanks for the stream. Blimpy, thanks for stopping by. For everyone else, we're going to keep going through these questions. We're going to see what other answers we can get from the devs. But Blimpy, really appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Maven says, Coloco asking to be admitted to the blood list. That's freaking hilarious. Important question no one has asked yet. What are you wearing? Spire says, mainframe hoodie, of course. Oh my gosh, he's wearing a mainframe hoodie. Jake from State Farm is wearing a mainframe hoodie. About crafting, will rare metals smithing or smelting recipes be reintroduced, e.g. for silver ingots, to re-enable a crafting path to rare ores? And then Osric added Spire, so hopefully we get an answer from Spire somewhere down here to that question. I might just have done something mysterious about this last week. Interesting. So they did something mysterious with silver ingots and rare ore smelting. What do you guys think that means? Does that mean it was just re-enabled? Let's see some more chat. Imperial Orc says, caught you live. Yeah, man, you sure did. Great to have you here. I appreciate you stopping by. And says, poor Coloco. Red says, looking over the general chat for PAX Day is like watching Kenny Omega wrestling a 9-year-old girl. How much longer can I pretend? I swear. I don't get the reference. Athena says, is it confirmed we're keeping our crafting skill levels? Yeah, they've said that multiple occasions, Athena, that you will keep your crafting skill levels, but all things are going to be broken down into raw materials. They're all going to go into your redeeming queue, and all of your weapon skills will be reset. And you will need to reacquire the rare relics from the not-so-boss bosses. Let's see what other answers we got here. Jewelry is right now only for cosmetic purposes. I wonder if they took out the ability to have jewelry share in durability, because it's not really just for cosmetic. It shares the durability and makes your gear last longer, but they're not doing anything with the enchanting or jewelry right now. Marshall Gaming says, what's a trades town? So they talked about this a little bit. We don't have all the answers about it just yet, but the trades towns are supposed to be something that's going to be introduced into Lioness or PvP zones, where they will have like a hold the location type feel. This is Theorycraft. We don't know exactly. Hold the location type mechanic to get something, or go there, have high risk reward in some regard for something like that. We don't know exactly what they mean, but we do know that nothing really with PvP is going to change in V3 at all. Cat Died says, I feel like there is so much missing still for it being a sandbox MMO, big revamps to crafting and combat, but no new content. So basically we're back at where we were content-wise June 18th, 2024. Yes, I agree with that. I don't think that that's being overly critical or anything like that. I think that that's spot on. I mean, I've said this for a while now. I'll always tell you guys the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. And I honestly feel like they have been working on complete revamps for 6 months to these systems when they should have been working on iterations and adding in new content to the game. I mean, we have not really gotten too much in the way of new content in a year, if we're being honest. And I agree with you, Cat Died. I feel like we are missing so much.
Well, this with the message in a weird way because you was
Oh my
redeeming
God.
it though in his Sufu. Just a little void. Please, now want Bwisket peeps. Give me my fishing animals, pit of foxes and character we edits. Main flame, K thanks, nyaha.
What in the hell was that? What? Thank you for the Tangia, but what was that? My gosh. I didn't really even understand most of what it said, other than please give me fishing. I did understand the please get me fishing. Triple brisket. She smacked us with a triple brisket. But yeah, Cat Died. I really hope that they can implement a lot of the core features that we need from MMOs. We need to get those loot permissions. We're not getting any party or loot permission changes, they said. That is super disappointing because it means that we're just going to go back to having to do it the way that we've been doing it. And I mean, we've made it work as a clan, but it's like, shouldn't we have that already? I feel like we should have that already. Oh, there's a absolutely beautiful little yellow bird outside my window. He just landed on a little shepherd's hook by the bird bath. That's an awesome bird. And there he goes, flying away. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed on the regard that we're not getting any of the basic core mechanics that we need to really make it a full-fledged MMO. I'm still hopeful. You know, it's like have high hopes, have low expectations type deal. And that's kind of where I think a lot of people are right now. I think that they're really waiting for a lot of those features to come online in order to have a game that they can enjoy playing. Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know, we're here about building community here at CBU. We play all kinds of games together. We got, you know, we got PAX Day, we got Star Citizen, we got World of Warcraft, we got V Rising, we got Vayne now. We got all kinds of games that we play. We like bringing people together to help them enjoy games the way that they like to play them. And we need systems in order to do that. If a game doesn't have those systems, it's going to make your life miserable trying to compensate for the lack of those systems. Imperial Orc says, so what's actually needed? I am more into PvP, roleplay, waging wars, having diplomacy. Well, we need, first and foremost, we need a loot system. We need a system that allows you to have master loot, round robin loot, shared gold loot. We're getting shared XP, but we need to have master loot and all of those things added in order to flesh out the loot system. We need actual bosses in dungeons. We need world bosses. We need reasons to bring big clans together other than just to go Zerg. There's so much from basic MMO features that we're missing that we need implemented in. Saw says goose goose duck so we can snipe Void until he says he hates us. That was ridiculous. I mean, you shot me within the first 2 seconds in that game. And I'm like, really? Really? Red says PAX Day is literally going backwards. We're going back to June 2024 with this update. Well, I mean, hopefully it will be a better version of June 2024, right? Hopefully the combat is going to knock our socks off. Hopefully the systems that we're getting in order to do interrupts and spells and things like that, I'm actually excited to see those. Hopefully they're a lot of fun to interact with, but if we're still going and doing the same things just to repeat the same process of fighting the same uneventful bosses in the same mostly uneventful dungeons, then it's really going to fall short because we're using new stuff to do the same things, if that makes sense. So we really need new bosses. We need actual bosses. We need like some giant spider down in a spider cave where we can go down there and she's webbing people up and cocooning people and you got to bust the cocoons open while you're still fighting. And like you need mechanics and fun stuff to keep the game. Right now it's just a slightly bigger dude in a dungeon who hits you a little harder and has a larger health pool, who drops a sigil and you may or may not even get him to spawn. Like that's really what it comes down to right now, you know? All right, let's go back over to the Q&A. Jewelry, just cosmetic. We're not getting anything in terms of enchanting or anything like that. It sounds like we're really not getting too much in the way of new stuff, but we are getting those new build pieces, which will be good. Will you be selling said hoodie to the players by chance, maybe at a later time? So you can't actually buy those hoodies? How do you get those hoodies then? I gotta see how I can get one of those hoodies. Have armor/weapon lifetimes been adjusted to say lasting longer? Tank gear have higher quality gear have slightly increased durability. So there you go. They have addressed that a little bit. Best question asked so far. Added to the top of player request pile. I don't know what that means. Does the main resource changes also affect Lioness? And they added Spire for that. With the upcoming changes to the world and the intention to regroup players together, is there anything in V3 to ensure more privacy between plots? That's a great question. Something like activatable safe zones to prevent others from attaching their plots to yours, I assume. While there's no current plan to add that toggle, the expanded space you gain by neighboring building next to you could certainly be used as a personal bubble. I don't really agree with that. We need to be able to stop people from locking their plots to your plot if you don't want them to. Because it has been shown off by trolls and the other YouTubers and stuff that you can take a plot, attach it to someone else's in different angles, and actually expose parts of their building. We need that zones to go away in the middle of plots. We need to have a demilitarized zone, so to speak, or a bubble around your plots unless someone has permissions. We need more plot permissions. We need more loot permissions. All of those things must get added to the game at some point. Someone asked, does this mean resource changes affect Lioness? Yes, it affects Lioness. Pure iron is most plentiful in Lioness, and it's not the only resource that's easy to find there. Note, this update doesn't do a lot to Lioness. We'll touch in that area a bit later. Is there a group XP bonus? Veteran enemies scale group XP differently from normal enemies. The balance has been done so that it makes sense to have more people than less in the same group. Interesting. So you're going to get more XP if you have more people in your party to take down the veterans. Which I'm really hoping that veterans aren't just a bigger version. Maybe we'll get the Zebian tank that they teased a while ago. Maybe, like Cat Died says, well, maybe we'll get the spider that they teased so long ago. Maybe. Hashtag soon. TM. We've been complaining about this for so long. Yes, we absolutely have. Cat Died says, such a stupid answer. Sorry, but what? You lose materials when someone picks up their plot again. Yeah, that's what I don't understand when they're talking about that bubble. That's just a non-answer. That's like a politician answer right there for sure. That was a political answer if I've ever seen one. So the group XP, yeah, so I think this means that veterans will be not as easily cheesable, hopefully, and if you do cheese it, you're not going to get as much reward as if you were to have more people in your party. Hopefully they thought about that and they made it to where the parties have a range. Otherwise, people will just be in a party and then go solo cheese farm veterans, and then they'll all get shared and stuff. There has to be a range on that, but I guess we'll see. Saw says, they can attach to you and move it off, and things we put on the edge, they can just take. Yes, absolutely. It's definitely not ideal. Let's see what other answers we can get out of them here. Sorry if I missed it, but are there any resources unique to specific provinces in V3? The relics from named enemies are to some degree specific to provinces, and the named are in the rivulets and temples, which are specific to provinces. We have also more symmetry or asymmetry on the resources across valleys and the wildland areas. So I think what he's saying here, what Spire is saying here, is that the relics are going to be the province-specific resource like they have been. Pickle, welcome into the stream. Pickle with our eighth out of 10 super chat towards our super chat goal. Pickle says, sounds like all the rework stuff will have a much greater of a time sink to level said new skills. Either way, looks like it's up to us to make it fun. It does kind of seem that way. Absolutely, yeah. Levon, how's it going? Just submitted my CPU application. Stoked to finally jump on board. Yes, I have a couple applications. We've had a lot of applications over the past a couple of days because of, you know, the excitement over V3. I have 2 interviews to get to this afternoon. You would make the 3rd, so maybe we can get all 3 done at the same time. I do leave that up to the individual though, because some people don't like to go over their application with other people. But if we can, we'll go over multiple applications all at once. We'll get all 3 knocked out together. So send me a message, void_lock over on Discord, or at me on the Discord, and let me know if you're going to be available this afternoon. Once I'm done streaming here, we're probably getting to the end of this stream. We've been streaming for 2.5 hours. We have like a quarter left of these questions to get through, and then I'm going to get something to eat. I'm going to use the bathroom, stretch my legs and stuff, and then I'll be back over on Discord, and I will get to a lot of those applications. So I'll be going over the vetting process with you guys over on the Discord. But yeah, send me a message. Fadrill with our 9th out of 10 super chat says, happy birthday, Void. It's not really my birthday, but it's every day is our birthdays, right? Didn't we establish that like really early on in the channel? Every day is everyone's birthday. Thank you, Fadrill, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Okay, let's get continuing with some more of these questions. Osric here with another one. Is the range DPS some type of variable playstyle in V3? Range DPS is variable playstyle for hunting, because yeah, you have your, or viable, they say, for hunting. It is not viable playstyle for dungeoneering. Many reasons is the bows and the weapons specials, yada yada yada. So essentially another answer saying that bows are not going to be worked on just yet. Although offensive spell casting weapons will come eventually as well, which he said maybe potentially in the fall. I don't know, could be pushed a ways out. Could get bumped entirely. We don't know. I'm not going to nail them down on that. Are we going to have named NPCs in camps exclusive to a single province? We have unique NPCs spawning in unique locations such as dungeons. Currently the ruins and forts between provinces are taken from the same pool or variants. So it sounds like the dungeons are where the unique mobs and spawns are going to come from, and that's where you're going to get those unique sigils. Sa with our 10th super chat. Happy birthday, Pickle. And she smacked him with 3 cucumbers straight across the face. Sa, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, everybody, for the continued support. If you guys want to become a channel member, click that join button down below. If you're not yet subscribed, help us reach our next subscriber goal. My subscriber goal thing is messed up in the top right corner. It's not really updating for some reason. There's actually 1241. Let me see if I can refresh it. We have 1241. We went up to 1240. It's not like staying up to date for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for all the super chats. I appreciate you. You guys are the reason why I'm able to run this community of CBU. You're the reason why I'm able to host the private servers. You're the reason why I'm able to full-time do YouTube. So I really do appreciate you guys more than you will ever know. Fadrill with another super chat says, happy birthday, Raz. Had to include him somehow. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Marshlow Gaming says the gear they show were all level 20 requirements. I'm guessing there's going to be level 30 and level 40. I think there's going to be level requirements throughout the full span. I think it's going to be like from tier 1 all the way up to tier 3. You're going to have different requirements for each of them. I think it's going to be a pretty dynamic system where there's going to be a lot across the board. Leveling up your stuff to getting to that best tier is going to be your best bet. But I think it's in an attempt to make it to where new players can't just be given the best stuff in the game. There is going to be a discrepancy now where, like in World of Warcraft, you level up and you're way stronger than the level 1 people. That's kind of going to be the case for PAX Day now. The level 1, 2, and 3 are the different, what do they call them? Common, uncommon, and rare tiers are going to increase your power level. And your proficiency with those in their slots, respectively, is also going to increase the power level. So you're going to have to level up and then equip up to the rare tier of items. I think for each common, uncommon, and rare, I think there is tier 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. No, they didn't mention any increases over level 40 for drill. I don't think we're getting anything like that. I literally, guys, I'm going to be honest. I think what we're getting with this is a lot of new build pieces, but no new building cosmetics. We're going to get some crafting changes, which is going to change the balance and the way that things are crafted, requiring less interdependency. And if there is interdependency from another profession, it's going to be one tier lower than your current profession requirement. Or tier requirement, I mean, sorry. And we're going to get a lot of new spells attached to a new reworked RPG system, meaning the gear that you equipped and your power level is going to change and be different with resistances and the spells and stuff. I think that's what we're getting. We're not getting any new bosses. We're not getting any new zones. We're not getting any new resources or anything like that. As far as I know, they said there's probably a couple little secrets, but I think that's the majority of what this patch is going to be in a nutshell. Egbert, great to see you. Welcome into the stream. He said, did they say that the level cap on equipment was for equipping or just using the abilities? It is for equipping. You will not be able to use it unless you reach that required skill. We should be able to put on the equipment, or put the equipment on, just not be able to use the abilities. They said that you're not gonna be able to equip it. It is a requirement to be able to use the equipment. I see healing stabs for V3. Will there be any specific? Will there be anything specific for a pure mage in terms? So I'm talking about offensive spells. No, there's not really offensive spells coming yet. Thank you to the devs for taking the time to answer these questions, no matter how long repetitive they may have been. We'll see. We're taking up quite a time of the devs in the end. We'll see, as it's taking up quite a bit of time for the devs in the end. So they're talking about, will we have more of these in the future? And they said that probably not, according to what their answer here is. They said, we'll see, as these take up a lot of time in the devs end. Time they don't spend on actual game development. I don't know. It sounds like you should hire a public relations person. It sounds like they don't have a PR person who could be doing all of these things and communicating with the different teams to get the information and then being the sole source of posts and stuff like that. But it sounds like we're probably not going to be getting more regular Q&As because it takes up too much of their time, apparently, to sit down and have a little transparency with us. I don't really like that answer. I don't know if you could tell. I don't like that answer. The next question is, will farms and stables be added with livestock and fishing to have animals to care for and raw materials? So here's the husbandry question. And have companion animals in combat. We'd love to expand the game in that department. We don't have an ETA for this right now. So they'd love to do it. No ETA. It's probably not even being worked on right now, guys. Marshlow says, are both skills, combat and crafting, getting wiped? No, you're going to keep your crafting skills, but your combat is getting wiped. Plastic says they could literally do a QA and just post the questions into a Slack channel for devs to respond while working. They could definitely do that, yeah. With the RPG update, all mobs being rebalanced, are they getting harder to kill? With the additional weaponsmithing, will the additional weaponsmithing make it easier for solo players to get to kill higher level mobs? Excuse me. Osric says higher tier veteran enemies will be harder. So it sounds like everything outside of those veterans are going to remain the same. Ange says they address it more later about having more Q&As. Those answers seemed more positive. Oh, okay. Well, I'll hopefully come up on those pretty soon then, because we're nearing the end of these questions, it looks like. Will fast travel to own plots be possible? They have plans for that, but it's not happening anytime soon. Is the Pilgrim's Fire coming back in V3 or getting replaced with another fireball spell? It's my favorite. Pilgrim's Fire is not in V3 anymore. Similar offensive spells will return as weapon spells eventually. Okay, so they're going to be offensive spells are going to be going on weapons only, and they're not going to be returning with V3. Maybe sometime in the fall, is what Osric said earlier. I'll send you some cookies. Will they be able to do fishing anytime soon, depending on the number of cookies? I think he's joking. I think fishing's not coming anytime soon. What brand of beer are you going to have after this? GT and Hendrix and Cucumber? Good on you, Ostrich. I really do. I want to say this. I have criticisms. Obviously, we all do. I do want to thank them for doing this Q&A, though. I feel like we probably don't need to thank devs for a Q&A, but it's not like a necessity of devs to be transparent, right? So it is nice when they are transparent. I will say that a lot of other devs are much more transparent, and there are probably some devs who are less transparent. I do want to praise what needs praise, though, so I do want to say thank you to the mainframe team for at least, however, some of these may have been not answers, but I do want to thank them for taking the time to put this together and sit down and answer some of these questions. Please check the announcements on it. Why have using a bow, which is very popular playstyle, been left so far behind? The bow is a very good weapon for hunting right now. So he didn't really answer why it's been left so far behind. I would assume they're just trying to get melee nailed down first before they start worrying about ranged. Building. In the initial early access build verse 1, heights for the stone was 9 levels. You could get 7 levels with large foundation pieces. And the last 2 levels were small foundation pieces. This was referred to Peter. So hopefully Peter answered that down below. There's my diminished return question, so hopefully that got answered. We'll see. Ostrich answered, with the new weapon skills coming along, along with a new keyboard, a keybind layout, will there be the ability to rebind keys now? You always could rebind the keys. So I'm not sure what they're getting at there. You could always rebind these keys. I had my spells casted on F1 through F4. But the answer is most of the gameplay keybinds are rebindable. Not sure if all the UI keybinds are yet, though, according to Ostrich. What happened to all the Zebian women? Where are my smelly girls? And they said Zebian cultists are getting visual improvements. Some of that's in V3 already. So we are getting some visual overhauls. But again, just having like a male and female enemy model doesn't add any gameplay other than like aesthetic. I mean, that's not going to actually give any more gameplay into the world, right? Some of that is in V3 already, but work on that also continues. We're looking at adding more variety to the cultists, and can say it's looking very impressive. I can say that because I'm not directly involved. So it sounds like they're getting a visual overhaul, and maybe we'll get the Zebian tank, #SoonTM. Fingers crossed. Maven says maybe Boss Lioness 2.0 and Decor update for fall. Maybe. We could be hopeful. I would have low expectations, but high hopes, Maven. For sure. Mescus Man says, I desperately want weather changes. Please send some further lightning, rain, and snow. They did say that weather got bumped. They said that weather got bumped because their team is not huge. And then we all had a chuckle about that. But yeah, so weather is not coming anytime soon, if at all. It got completely removed from the roadmap, unfortunately. As well as new decor options, we're not getting any of those either. We're just getting new build pieces. Is there a new clan emblems, or are there new clan emblems or ways to use it besides the tabard? Not in V3, but we're definitely expanding this in the future. So I think they mean probably like putting it on tabards, and not just on tabards, but on like pennants and stuff like that, like flags and whatnot for your clan. That'd be kind of cool, but not in V3. #SoonTM again. Green apples had only a 10-second effect. Has this been fixed? That's very specific. I need to check. Can you give an indication as a comparison to today's figures of NPCs damage versus armored players' health in Zebium Temple dungeons with V3. Ostrich says it's quite hard to answer this in detail that you are looking for. However, in Zebium Temple dungeons, you want to be careful with pulling and tank smaller amounts of active enemies at once. We will definitely be testing the waters very slowly, obviously, to make sure that you're not over pulling, because all of this stuff is rebalanced. But he goes on to say that tanking should be more manageable now than it was before, but the temple dungeons are supposed to be difficult. I'm happy to hear that. I hope that they are, actually, because combat was kind of easy, to be honest. Like, everything was kind of easy. Marshlow says, wanted a video showcasing the new combat, but they said they don't have time. That seems to be their answers to a lot of things, is they don't have time for the Q&As, they don't have time for to show off a lot of stuff. I find that very intriguing. It sounds like they need to have someone in their office dedicated to showing us these things, maybe. And maybe we wouldn't be left in the dark as much. So back to the green apple question. Yes, if I read that correctly, apples will last longer than 10 seconds now, so that's good. Is the damage output of mobs being rebalanced? We've rebalanced the whole game. So that's item stats, NPC balance, damage that weapons do. So everything's rebalanced. Everything. Every single thing is rebalanced. Gutted from the ground up. Every NPC has been rebalanced. Spire confirmed. Will all armor/weapon skills be usable in PvP? Mesmerize, Haunting Memories, and Pacify is not. So those ones, those crowd controls are not usable, but I think there's roots coming and some other things like that. Those will be usable in PvP. Stuns, slows, snares, roots, all of that. Just not the Mesmerize, Haunting Memories, and Pacify. Hunting, another incoming fix. Wait, hunting, another incoming fix is the deer should no longer suddenly make a 180 turn and run at you. Damn, that actually made it easier to hunt them, but it is good. It makes it a little more realistic that they won't just run back at you. The reason they were running back at you is because they were running back to their respawn, their reset location, because they're tethered. Their tethered distance, you'd reach their tethered distance and they would just turn around and go to walk back because they determined that you were done chasing them. But as a ranger, I'd also like to be a benefit to the group in a dungeon. We're planning to rework bows. They're re-answering a lot of the same questions a ton. I don't know if that's because a lot of the other questions they don't have answers to yet, so they're kind of dodging them or what, but they're re-answering the same questions a lot. We did a massive combat update, so we'll be changed our focus to something else for the next release. The next release is not going to be a lot of combat. Lioness 2.0 and Market Towns are going to get our focus next. So the new PvP zone, which probably means a whole new map. I don't think it's going to mean additional zones, otherwise they wouldn't call it Lioness 2.0. But I think in a new Lioness map and whatever these market towns are, and maybe the resource distribution, maybe exclusive resources to Lioness, that's probably what's going to be in the next update. Who knows when we will get that though. Can I hunt bears effectively in V3? Bears are harder than they were before, but you should still be able to solo them as long as you are sufficiently geared. So that's good. I like when they increase the difficulty because things are kind of easy right now. Someone said, "What about Dune?" And someone said, Aspire said, "We've read the book." They've read the book, apparently. What sort of changes can we expect to camps, both in terms of solo camps, wolf caves, and full-on Zebian dungeons? So let's see here. Aside from the sheer numbers, I wonder if they mean the sheer numbers of mobs in the camp or the sheer number of camps themselves. There is more variety in forts and ruins in context to their occupying faction. The most notable difference in the overworld PvE content is a clearer distinction between what's meant for different playstyles. So they're basically making different camps for different playstyles, it would seem. Adventurer sites, tiny and small ruins and forts, smaller caverns. So these are going to be for like your solo adventurers. Feature spawns that are meant to be for solo player duos. Yep. So I was right there. While larger camps and dungeons feature variety variants that are meant for group gameplay. So they're basically going to be making the smaller camps more geared towards smaller groups and the larger ones more geared towards larger group play. They're trying to give people the option to engage with what they want to engage with. Tom says, do you want me to edit a video out of this, Void? I mean, yeah, if you want to. If you want to get get a video edited, Tom, that'd be awesome. Maybe, I don't even know what you would do though, because I'm straight into the meat and potatoes. I guess you would cut up all the answers, but that might be jarring. I don't know. We'll talk about it on Discord. We'll have a chat about it. The Cat Died says, we don't need a new Lioness map is fine. Give us better PvP systems. I would agree with that. Yeah, I'm kind of over the whole here's a new map, here's a new map, here's a new map. I think if they're going to give us new maps altogether to expand the interconnected world, that would be pretty cool. But in terms of like redoing the maps, I'm kind of over it at this point. The worlds were beautiful in the first iteration. I don't really see the need other than some tweaks here and there to the maps. I don't really see a need for that. Red says 40 player larger groups would be like 25% of their total population. It absolutely would, yeah. It absolutely would. No more pokey poke run away. Ostrix says still possible, will be fixed eventually. So there's still some combat bugs they're talking about there. Some exploits, if you will. What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? 24 miles per hour or 11 meters per second. That's okay. Interesting. Hunting. The meat drops will also change quite a bit for V3. Interesting. So those of you who like hunting, that's going to change quite a bit, sounds like. With the advent of goats, will there be milk? Will this lead to cheese recipes? Will there be a cheese maker profession? What? They say, what? Did we not have bear milk before? So a not answer, but kind of a funny one. I wonder if that's what their way of saying yes. Silly question, will we get horses? When will we get horses? They say, let's focus on V3. They really don't like the horse questions. Red says, I'm still hunting a decent MMO game. Cat Died says, combat is still slow and sluggish. Well, at least we have some abilities now. That's what I'm looking forward to. Let's see, what other answers can we get? That's not in English. Icelandic, oh yeah, it kind of is. Icelandic pale ale? Oh, they're answering what drink they're going to have after this. They're going to have an Icelandic pale ale. That actually sounds really good. This question is, so 10 wolf rounds might yield 10 steaks instead of 5. Just checking. The answer is there's too many details to get specifics. So yeah, they don't have specifics on like the number changes in terms of what things are going to yield and whatnot anymore. Because there's probably way too many for them to have remembered, but they did tweak and balance all the outcomes of those recipes. So that's good to know. Which dev do you catch watching funny cat videos on Facebook the most? And they say, we won't tell. Has the 100 carcass single inventory item to 5 meat cuts across 50 inventory items been improved? That's a great question. Making a note to double check on how the meats stack. Someone says, not sure if it's been answered yet. Do you plan on adding a dodge system to the combat features? I think they talked about this, but not in this Q&A. They did talk about how they wanted a dodge, but that it wasn't coming anytime soon. I don't know. We'll see what Osric has to say. Osric says, dodge in the generic way, low cooldown ability that allows the player to evade attacks is not going to happen. Oh, well, there you go. There is not going to be a dodge. That promotes too much individual skill, and we want the game to be more about group tactics. So they don't want you to have too much self-control in combat by having a dodge. So dodge is never coming to the game, according to Osric right here. There are already some defensive abilities in V3 that we'll be adding, and we're going to be adding more. But they will come with longer cooldowns. Even if dodge would come at some point. Wait, now he's backtracked. Literally contradict yourself, Ostrich, in the same sentence here. He says that it's not going to happen. But now he says even if dodge would come at some point, it would come with a 20 to 30 second cooldown. Oh, maybe he's saying that up above, a low cooldown ability dodge is not going to happen. So he's saying that dodge could happen, but if it did, it would come with a longer cooldown. It reads kind of confusing, and I think it's language barrier there, but Cat Died says, you skipped over my response to the bear milk. I'm only reading the dev's responses, so if I miss any of your guys' responses to a dev response, I apologize. I'm only reading dev responses because there's probably so many of them that I have to get to. And we're pushing 3 hours. So I'm trying to get all the info of what came straight from the devs' mouths. While also not getting dehydrated in the process. Let's see here. Havoc asks, so the next question, are there any V3 changes that have not been mentioned in the previous announcements that may have been too small to mention? New plant resources are being added. Not sure if we mentioned that already. So there's going to be new plants. That's probably going to have some implications on alchemy, which I'm happy to see. You said you've changed terrain, but will there still be mountains? I mean, I would assume there's still going to be mountains. Yeah, he says, yes, there will be mountains. The overall sense of the place is still the same. We just need to move everything around to make room in the new home for the new home valleys. Some of the vertically was a bit torn down as well. I think he means they're not going to be as tall, so a bit less cliffy. Yeah, that's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say so that some of the mountains are going to be less cliffy, so maybe you can get up them a little better. The highest mountains are still roughly as high. So the mountains still have the same height, but they're making them a little more swoopy in some areas. As for the Ranger storylines, this is more about bows, I think. So again, they've answered bows extensively. We're not really getting bows. Quick question, is there going to be any preview for the new combat to see before V3? I'm not sure we'll have time to do this, they say. It sounds like they just literally don't have enough time to do anything. They don't have time for the Q&As. They don't have time to talk about it. They don't have time to be, I don't know, that's kind of crazy. They may not have time to show us the stuff that's... Is that just me, or do you guys find that a little strange? I find that a little bit strange. They don't have time to do any of this. Speaking of stack size, have they been addressed for V3? The inventory is supposed to be limited, and stack size is one of the ways we limit the amount players can carry. Could you elaborate which stack sizes you specifically have a problem with? I think they kind of addressed that up above, Osric, where they asked about the meat, because meat was like abysmal. Are all armor types and weapon types designed to be able to solo? They did kind of talk about this before, not in this Q&A, but they've designed all armor types and weapons types for solo play. They did talk about how, like, if you're a healer, it's going to be a little harder to actually solo, but it should technically be possible, but it's not going to be like ideal, right? There are combinations that are better for solo and combinations that are better for grouping. So like healing, they did design healing in order to be used in group play, mostly. Maven says, yes, stinging nettle, usable ferns, mint. That'd be awesome. I think we already have mint in the game used for cooking, but I'd love to see a bunch of new types of plants and stuff added to flesh out the alchemy, because the alchemy is kind of lackluster in my opinion right now. These types of responses make my gut feel like their backers and investors are demanding immediate measurable progress. Maybe. That is a highly possible thing. I think that's highly plausible. Maska says, apologies if I missed that. Any news on the crafting from chests? Yeah, that's not going to be a thing, they said. They don't really have intentions, I don't even think, to make that a possibility to be able to craft from chests or from your plots. Unfortunately, that quality of life feature is yet to be discovered if we're going to be getting that anytime soon, or if at all. I don't know if they said we're not getting it in V3 or if it's not even on the table. I can't remember, but either way, we're not getting it anytime soon. Cat Died says they want us to suffer. I think mint is in the game, isn't it? I thought mint was in the game for cooking. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I vaguely remember mint. Maybe I'm just misremembering. I mean, it's been a while since I've even looked at the cooking stuff. Let's see what else we got. Not for V3. So let's see what is not for V3. Right here we have another not for V3 answer. If you are making huge RPG works on the game, do you plan on adding bosses like shown in the alpha trailers? Not for V3. I already asked about the griffins and wyverns and spider monsters and stuff, and they told me no as well. And here's another answer reconfirming that no, bosses are not coming in V3. Will you always be forced to not move while attacking and only attack forward? Osric says your character moves forward to your opponent when you perform an attack. You will be able to move freely when the attack commitment of the attack is over. So it sounds like, yes, you will still be getting locked in place when you do your attacks in combat. Kind of disappointing, to be honest, but also kind of makes sense. It's probably to stop a lot of cheesing. Are loot tables being rebalanced? I think they said they're rebalancing everything, but they said there's been some changes in fine-tuning. They're going to be fine-tuning this in the future is on their to-do list. So it sounds like loot tables have been rebalanced some, and they want to further do that in the future. Spire says, yep, agreed, the stacks need significant attention, no question about it. So they need significant attention. Doesn't mean that they got significant attention. So stack sizes are probably still kind of crazy. Before the release of V3, can you devs form a team and fight us to death in Lioness? Would be fun, but I doubt we'll have time. Again, more of a they have no time to do anything answer. Yas says Rosemary and Thyme are in game. Yeah, there is parsley. Cat Die says, oh, number 3, let's go. Coming for you, Maven. Yeah, I think those are activity things. That's new to YouTube streams. It is really nice to see YouTube adopting more in the way of Twitch features. I am live on Twitch right now as well. I'm doing dual stream currently, just because this is kind of an important one, this special edition. But for anyone watching over on Twitch, I'm not able to see your answers or your questions right now or your comments because I am super preoccupied with the chat going for the Q&A as well as on YouTube. Normally when I dual stream, I have a chat window up so I can see your chat as well, but I'm really only streaming on Twitch to cast a wider net. I'm not monetized over there or anything like that. All the action happens over on YouTube. So make sure you guys cross, if you're on YouTube, go over to Twitch, sub over there. If you're on Twitch, come over and sub on YouTube. I also have a Twitter as well, where I put out some announcements and posts and chat with some people as well. Let's see what other answers we can find out of these guys. Will you be able to build in Lioness? They're answering a lot of the same questions. They're answering a lot of the same questions multiple times. Like the safe questions are definitely getting answered multiple times. And no, you're not gonna be able to build in Lioness. Is there a first-person camera introduced with V3? We might eventually make the first-person camera mode for building purposes. There's no plans to make it full first-person mode. Damn. Okay. Well, there's the answer to that. That sucks. I would have loved to have a first-person mode. What was first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is badgers. The answer is always badgers. Are there V3 crafting adjustments for recipes that require components that you don't get until later levels? As example, Minor Health Tonic 3 unlocks at 25. Skullcaps cannot be distilled until 28. That is an inconsistency, I think. I think that was not intended. But they say we've made a lot of tuning on that. There might still be some of the recipes or the components levels need attention. So it's not the intention of the game or the devs in order to have resources that you can't acquire yet. That's an oversight. So hopefully they get a lot of those ironed out. Marcelo says fly mode for building. That would be interesting. It would definitely be interesting. I mean, I think at least a first person mode would be nice. My last question, which I'd love to have answered. Well, yeah, we'd all love to have our questions answered. Are there plans to allow interactions with objects found in NPC camps, barrels, chests, etc.? Oh, maybe like looting them and stuff like that. Not for V3, so again, another #SoonTM, but certainly something we've been wanting to add, reintroducing chests and camps and having the opportunity to get more written lore integrated into the world. So nope, not with V3, but maybe in the future. Is lore coming to the game with V3? Books and scrolls, not a part of V3, but a platform for things to come. So #SoonTM. Last thing from me, thank you for taking the time to discuss with me. Does anyone have any fun summer vacation plans? Osric says, I'm on summer vacation right now, spending the time chatting with you guys. Well, hey, Osric, we really appreciate that you taking the time out of your vacation to chat with us. And it looks like that's the end. Need to run. Sorry for not being able to answer everything. And they all said their goodbyes and they closed it up. So there we have it, guys. Does anyone have any questions for me or any questions that maybe we can help clarify some things about this Q&A? I think that was really cool to see a Q&A happen. We didn't get too many answers, but we did get some. A lot of the stuff we already knew, but we did get a couple intriguing little bits of information there. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns or anything like that, that's in good faith, pop it in chat and let's talk about it. Mascus says, tigers love pepper. They hate cinnamon. Interesting. Yeah, I do think that first person or fly mode would be very helpful. Being able to build from chests would be very helpful. But I want to hear from you guys. What other questions do you guys have that maybe didn't get answered here that we may be able to have a little theory craft here at the end of the stream about it? We're going to be wrapping up the stream here pretty soon. We have gone over 3 hours to chat about all of this stuff. What kind of beer am I going to have? I don't actually drink. I haven't drank in a very, very, very long time. I just, doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, I don't actually drink. Cat Died says, I have no more theories. You're fresh out of theories. I'm hoping that this patch, when it comes out, this is being real with you guys. This is my hope. I have high hopes, but I have low expectations. I'm hoping that this patch comes out and it has all kinds of cool shit that we get to interact with. I hope the combat knocks our socks off. I hope the dungeons feel much more rewarding, even though we're not going to get bosses and stuff like that. I'm hoping that the building with the new pieces is a lot of fun and makes it worthwhile to have rebuilt our city. I'm really hoping that there's enough content here to keep people interested for the foreseeable future until the next update, to where it doesn't have to taper off. That's my hope. I really want people to be able to call PAX Day home and have fun in the game to the fullest extent and not have it just be another, well, we're going to play through this session. We're going to play through for this patch cycle and have everything taper off. We stayed in game, and we still to this day have several people and a lot of new people who just got into the game. We have several people who are still active to this day. But I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I never will. I'm not here to have a popularity contest or anything like that. A lot of us have tapered off. We have other things that are more pressing of our time. We're playing Star Citizen. We're playing World of Warcraft. We're playing Vayne. We're playing V Rising. We're playing other games that are actually delivering a lot of content to us. So I want to be able to stay in PAX Day and really enjoy the world for a long time to come. I can't promise that this update will bring that. Hopefully it brings us closer, but I'm always going to be real with you guys. I really, really, really hope that this is not just another flash in the pan where in a couple months we're going to have tapered off back down to, 200 people playing the game again. I think this one has the possibility to keep people's attention for a much longer period of time because of the difficulty that's going to come along with more of these. I think the combat's going to be more difficult. I think some of these systems are going to cause people to have to work together to get into these dungeons now. Hopefully they fixed a lot of the cheesy exploity things. Jade, how's it going? Welcome in. You're just catching the end here. We're wrapping up things. Mainframe have closed their Q&A. We read through all of their answers to all of the questions. A lot of disappointment, but also a lot of hope mixed in there as well. I think people are really going to be on the fence, and it's going to be a test of time, unfortunately. We're going to have to wait and see what the future brings for PAX Day, but you guys can always trust me to bring you as up-to-date news as I possibly can, as fast as possible, and to have an open platform where you guys are free to express your good faith opinions, good, bad, or indifferent, and I will always tell you the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not here to blow smoke up anyone's bum. I'm not here to try and get people to buy the game or anything like that. I'm not here for a popularity contest. I'm here to tell you guys the truth. And the truth is that PAX Day has gone pretty slow, especially for how much money and how many devs they have. And a lot of people are left wanting more. I know a lot of you resonate with that. And I'm not, again, if you're looking for just, someone who's going to be overly positive and positive negativity or negative positivity all the time, then this is not the place for that. I'm here to tell the truth, right? We're going to have conversations about tough things here on the channel. We're going to talk about stuff that maybe makes people a little uncomfortable because they want to just only hear the good stuff about a game or only want to, have positive vibes from it. We're always going to have good vibes here. I'm never going to let people act in bad faith. If you ever act in bad faith, this is not the place for that. You get kicked out of the community, you get kicked off the stream, right? That's just how it works. But at times we're going to have to talk about the bad things. And I just hope that you guys understand that I'm talking about the bad things coming from a good place. Whenever I bring up anything that's maybe less than or a shortcoming or anything like that, or if I have a criticism, it's always because I want the game to be better, right? It's not like I'm just bashing it because I want it to fail or something. I'm pointing out facts of things that must be addressed. Whenever I talk about like loot or something like that, we need those systems, right? I'm not just bashing it to say, hey, this game sucks because it doesn't have proper loot mechanics. It's never like that. It's because I want to see the proper loot mechanics put into the game. And I hope that you guys can understand that. Jade, thank you for the super chat. Jade says, thank you for keeping us informed. Void, much love. I appreciate you, Jade. Thank you for the super chat. I do my best. I will always act in good faith. I will always tell you guys the truth, good, bad, or indifferent. You can count on me for that. But at times, you have to stick with me through it because we will have to talk about the hard things. We will have to criticize stuff. And that goes for any game. I criticize Star Citizen all the time. I criticize every game that I play on their shortcomings, and I give ideas and offer solutions on how it can be done better going forward. Cat Died says, thank you for the stream, Void, always keeping it real. That is what you can count on me for, guys. Let me know down in the comments. Let me know in chat. Let me know on Discord what other types of streams or games or content you guys want to see here on the channel. If you want to see more Star Citizen content, I do have some ideas that I'm coming out with for that because Star Citizen is really, really ramping up. Vane is actually a lot of fun. I don't know if it's in a place where it's like stream worthy, but maybe we'll do a stream on it. We'll see how it goes. We'll pop a stream up for Vane. Hopefully I can get Vane on my AMP panel, my streaming for my private servers. And then we can get a private server thrown up for Vane. That'd be pretty cool. I'm going to work on that. We got a lot of stuff coming out, guys, but join our community. Type !Discord in chat. You'll get a link over to the Cheeky Buggers United community Discord server. Partake in the Fellowship of the Free Cities. It's not just an RP thing. It is showing that you at least respect the RP, and it is a way for us to grow as a community. It's kind of a conglomerate of good faith. It shows that you have good faith because you at least understand and respect the basic rules of a commonly shared space. Maven, thank you for the super chat. Maven says, I am extremely thankful and grateful for this community and the amazing friends I have made here. Always games and adventures to have. Thank you so much, Maven, for your kind words. Maven, it's been a blessing to have you around, and that is what it's all about. That is why I always push CBU as the place to come and hang out and have fun and meet great people, because we have met so many great people just by one day hopping in voice chat and getting to know somebody. It is really a place where you can find a lot of good faith actors. There's so many great people over on CBU, guys, to come and hang out with. We play all kinds of games, and we just like to enjoy life. We remove all the drama, and we just enjoy life. I need to grab a drink of water. My voice is going for 3 hours of talking. But I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. If you'd like to join the Order of the Blood Brothers, yeah, Blimpy, we're still going, but we're wrapping it up. If you guys would like to join the Order of the Blood Brothers, like so many have in this past couple of days, head over to our website, www.cheekybugger.net, or type website in chat right now. You will get a link over to our website where you can submit your very own application. We then screen the applications. You'll get a reply to it. It'll be marked pending, and then you get in touch with us over on Discord, and we vet you. I'm going to be doing like 3 or 4 vettings this afternoon to get some new members in for all types of games. Once you get into the community, you can then join any guild, clan, org, private server, anything we host. You can pick and choose which aspects you'd like to partake in, and then you go through the onboarding process for that, and you get placed on the roster. It's been a lot of fun to get to know you guys over these past couple months. Well, several months for a lot of people and a couple months for several people, but it really has been a blessing to get to know so many awesome people in the community. Cat Died says, hope to get that gameplay footage. Oh, Renown, yes. Yeah, I still need to get that. I actually put that on the back burner because I had a lot of other stuff come up, but I do still have plans to get the Renown footage up, hopefully before their next open play cycle. I'm going to get Tom to help me with that. I'm going to get you to play Renown with me on their next public play test. I will probably head onto there, yeah. My biggest concern with Renown is that they don't intend to have any offline raid protection. That was concerning. I mean, hopefully with private servers, we're able to get around that with mods or something, but I guess we'll see. Any final questions, comments, concerns here, guys, before we wrap up? I'm trying to read through the rest of your chat here. Cat Died says private servers. Yeah, private servers are going to be a big thing for that game. Like every game. I love private servers. It lets you enjoy... Listen, that's what gaming's all about, is enjoying good games with your friends the way that you want to play them, right? You should never be forced to play a game a certain way. And that's why I was kind of disappointed with Dune, having the Deep Desert forcing you into playing the Deep Desert with everyone else. They should just let you host your own private server like Conan Exiles or something and just play the game the way you want, right? I feel like that's just a lot better nowadays than trying to go the MMO path. And if you're going to go the MMO path, you need to have the features that allow you to filter and cater the playstyle to the way that you want to enjoy it. Like in World of Warcraft, if I block you, you literally disappear off my screen. You're gone. PAX Day needs to get things like that. Dune needs to get things like that. But we are going to be coordinating the Dune server with Tom, with TK Seaton, over on the Cheeky Buggers United Community Discord server. So make sure you guys check that out. We're going to figure out what server we're going to be going on for our basin, and he is going to hold the main server. I got a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to be busy these next couple days, but I'm going to get a private room spun up for members who are going to be joining the guild in Dune. And I'm going to be doing a lot of vetting coming up here, and I'm going to be spinning up some more podcasts and different things like that for different various games and getting some other episodes edited like Renown as well. But guys, that's all I got. We went through all the questions here. Thank you again to Mainframe for going over these questions. I know I'm a little hard on you guys at times, but hey, you got to roll with the punches, right? Nothing I say is ever false or a lie or intended to be malicious in any way. Everything I say is in good faith. So sometimes you got to roll with the punches, guys, but I do appreciate you answering all of these questions that you guys did. Hopefully we can get more transparency like that in the future. Fadril says Anvil Empires is a public test coming. I want in on that, Fadril. Send me some details about that, Fadril. I want in on that. Cat Died says we need to coordinate with Dune. Yes, we definitely will. Cat Died, send me a message. Come on over to the CBU Discord. We will coordinate. We'll get that sorted. I don't know if you guys are intending to be your own clan or if you guys want to get verified CBU member status and then join our clan over there, or what you want to do with that. But let us know. Send me a message. We'll make it happen. We'll get that all taken care of. But that's all I got, guys. I need to get some food. I haven't even eaten yet today. It's 2 p.m. It's after 2 p.m. I got to get some food in me. I'm going to stretch my legs, and then anyone else who wants to get vetted, I will see you guys over on Discord shortly, and we'll get that taken care of. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.
Brothers we are and brothers we'll be. Oh yeah. Distant lands come you and me. Dance round the fire, sing tales of old. Raise your cups high, let the stories unfold. Celebrate together, bump on their nose. Sing strong, gay, keep warm, break close. Spin through the night, joy we embrace. Hands unite in this sacred space. The music rings from lute and thunder. Feet tap the ground, hearts beat as one. Torchlight flickers, smiles aglow. Hand in hand in the dance we flow.